Hello, we are live at Naija Lives Matter. We are going to be having some fun tonight. This is a special page I created just to start addressing some of the issues in Nigeria. That's why I didn't put it on my personal or business page on Facebook. We are out here live on Naija Lives Matter, and we are going to be discussing matters of state in this hot seat series that I've just started. And of course, I felt the most fitting person to start this hot series with is one of the most known names in Nigerian, what I would call Nigerian new politics, and in trying to get the new voice to be heard in the Nigerian affairs. It's a very visible name. It's a name everybody knows. And we're going to be talking to him all day today. It's a 3-day series in the first instance, and then we decide how we go from there, where we are going to be interviewing one of the most controversial figures in Nigeria's today's politics, somebody giving the authorities headache, the man that they cannot suppress, even with arrest and detention. We are going to be talking with him. I want to do a disclaimer quickly. I've not personally met Mr. Sowore in person. We have only chatted on Clubhouse a few times, and I've come to have a very, very different conception about him. I had a mindset when I didn't meet him. So I want to be fair. The interview today is not to promote Mr. Sowore, but to make him more visible to Nigerians. We have also jointly agreed after the interview, we should run, he is giving me permission to run paid advert for this video, not as promoting him, but as getting more Nigerians to be aware about what makes him tick, why is who he is, and why he's upset at the whole thing. I have no personal preconceived opinion over the matter. I am in the interview position. And as you know me, those of you who have been watching my shows, you know I tend to be a bit combative. So every question will be challenged. Every position will be challenged. And I promise you, we are going to be having an exciting series today. First, I thank Mr. Sowore for agreeing to come on this Naija Lives Matter show. Hopefully, after we are done with the series with him, we will get other emerging leaders to also come up and tell us, because we have been in that situation before where we are not very clear about what somebody will do or what they can do, and then we voted them in, and at the end of the day, we are all regretting. We want to know our future emerging leaders. It's about time we start having a lot of emerging leaders in this business. The same old tired hands cannot take us where we want to be. What brought us here cannot take us there. And I've committed myself as a public figure to try to give as much opportunity to these emerging leaders. I'm talking about Sowore, Fela Durotoye, Mogalu, some of those new crop of leaders. Those are my focus. We have all agreed the old ones have failed us. I don't think even their own supporters will deny that the old ones have failed them. So the question then is, where do we go from here? If we are going to get new thinking, then we need new leaders. Those who brought us here cannot take us there. So I want you, if you are watching this and you have any emerging leader, I have no preference at this point. Okay, I have no personal preference. And where my preference is coming in, I will tell you. So if there's anybody out there, it may even be totally unknown right now, inbox me. Let me know about him. I will schedule him. And then my promise to all the candidates is that every interview I do with them, I will spend a minimum of $500 promoting it on Twitter, Facebook, and my YouTube channels. Not because I support them, but because I feel Nigerians need to begin to interact with them. Because 2023, we all agreed, we don't want these new leaders. But somebody's going to have to replace them. So that is why this is about. As a matter of fact, I'm also going to be sharing with you later in the show a new movement of people who are tired of the old system, who want to come together, amass their resources, and then decide what to do with it in 2023, whether to support an emerging candidate or to go find one of their own. We will talk more about that. Again, you are tuned in to Naija Lives Matter hot seat interviews. And today we are going to be having Omoyele Sowore. So I'm going to bring him on without much ado. This is supposed to be a 2-hour interview so that we don't waste time. There you are, guys. You know him. He doesn't need any introduction. Mr. Omoyele Sowore. I'm not even going to introduce him. I'm going to get him to just go straight to it. If you don't know about him right now, you need to start Googling to find out who is this man that has decided enough is enough. People love to hate him. He has fanatical supporters, and he also have people that would rather see him dead than get to that place of power. So today's the day. Okpebholo goes head to head with him. All right, Mr. Sowore, welcome to the show. You have had me in the studio. I want to appreciate you for your graciousness in agreeing to this interview, because you don't really know me well. We have not interacted well. As a matter of fact, we have disagreements on many issues, but you decided that you are a man. You are going to stand up. You are here, and I want to really, really appreciate you. All right, so let's go to it. All right, rather by way of your introduction, okay, I'm going to ask you, what do you really want? Why revolution now? Go, tell Nigerians.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kwebango, for inviting me. Let me also use this opportunity to say hello and happy International Women's Day to all hardworking women out there, to all the women who are making the world a better place, and to those who have to withstand the stress and rigor and the hardship that's imposed on Nigeria's failed leadership over these years. With regards to revolution now, is our position after some 30 years as an activist, after some 16 years as a journalist covering all kinds of corrupt activities in Nigeria, and also after 2 years as someone who got involved in partisan politics and contested election at the highest levels. I contested for the position of president in 2019, that Nigeria cannot be, the stage of reform has been passed, because Nigeria cannot be reformed, and Nigeria cannot simply be wished into a state of progress by its citizens without something powerful happening, displacing the old order and creating the room and the opportunity for a new order to take over the system. And that was the idea of revolution, that we must dismantle a discredited and dilapidated system of government, of democracy, that is run by incompetent, corrupt, and people who have nothing to offer over these years. And that without this confrontation between the led, well, I'll say the misled and the so-called rulers, that Nigeria cannot achieve the progress it needs, because you just can't wish the people who put Nigeria in a state of failure and dilapidation away. They have come to stay. This is what they eat. This is how they benefit. This is the kind of life they have been used to. Nigeria as a social security department of those people who have failed it over these years. And I came to the conclusion after the selection in 2019, not an election, but selection, that even free and fair elections cannot be guaranteed to Nigeria anymore without the people of Nigeria rising up and saying, enough is enough. We want a new order. We want to get rid of the old order. And I was arrested and detained for it, and I maintained my position up until the time I was released partially. And I continue to maintain that position, that people will be wasting their time and energy, resources, and emotions if they continue to think that somehow these people who are holding Nigeria by the jugular, who are choking us, will somehow give up and just say, well, we're tired of making you suffer. Now you can have a fresh leash of life without a fight. So that's what revolution now is about.
All right. Before we go even to the substantive questions, by the way, those of you watching, this is at least a 3-day series. We are going to focus on specifics as opposed to the rhetorics. What will Sowore do if he eventually gets power, and we wish him well? That is going to be the meat of this interview. What we are doing over the next 5 to 10 minutes is more or less an introduction. All right. Mr. Sowore, you have mentioned and you have repeatedly said this, and it's something that I will need you to clarify for me. You keep saying that selection, the leader was selected, you are rigged out. But the truth of the matter is that were you really rigged out, or is it that your supporters did not go and get PVC, or your supporters did not turn out en masse? Because from where I am standing, and I need to be corrected, I don't think it is true for you to claim you are rigged out. I think it's more of you not having enough supporters. What say you, sir?
No, that's not correct. In 2019, Nigeria did not have an election. It's only when you have an election that you can even talk about being rigged out. What they did was to package people who participated in what they called election, got people voted, but their votes just didn't count because they have shifted the power of voters to the power of collection of results. So whatever you voted in the polling booths or polling units did not reflect in the outcome when they come at night to the collection center. So that's why I disagree with you that we're rigged out. We weren't rigged out. There was an election. And you can't talk about an election when the conditions for elections are not met. Fairness, freeness, and transparency and participation. None of these things happened. Our people actually got PVCs. That's the voters card, permanent voters card as they're called. A lot of people got it. A lot of young people. Nigeria had over 20 million voters added to its voters roll in 2019 because people were excited about it. All the celebrities were asking us to get PVCs. We did get. And our calculation was that most of the people who freshly got PVCs would have voted had they had an opportunity to vote, which so many of them also did not have. In places like Lagos, they didn't even allow people who were opposed to the mainstream politicians or people in power to partake in voting. You go to Borno State, where over 27 local governments were under Boko Haram, but they were producing high numbers in Borno State. In Yobe State, where half of the state was under Boko Haram control. You go to Katsina State, you go to Kaduna, you go to Kano State. In those places, a lot of people did not, the number of voters were even more than the number of registered voters. So you can't turn around and say that this is election. That's why we said it's election, because INEC just collaborated, connived, colluded with the APC, that is the All Progressives Congress, and also, where possible, with the PDP, and they just rigged as much as, just manipulated election results as much as they want to produce outcomes that already been predetermined. That is what we mean by selection. An election would have brought about a different outcome. And I'm not the only one who felt so. A lot of international observers that came to Nigeria, right, went back to their countries and said the same thing. Several of the international observers, including ahead of even the African Union, they couldn't certify Buhari's 2019 election. This is open secret.
All right.
So, a lot of people had PVCs, and now the PVC has become what people call a poverty verification card, because it's up to you to take it and collect your own 5,000 or 10,000 naira and just walk away to solve your immediate poverty needs. That's not the kind of democracy. That's not the kind of election that we wanted to participate in. But in my own case, as you remember, even before the election proper took place, they had started the rigging process. They did not allow me to partake in debates that were part of the electoral process because they said I would be rude, according to them, to the old gerontocrats who were participating in debates.
Old what?
We call them gerontocrats,
Gerontocrats. I like all those words. Very good. Yeah. All right. Still on that point, I hear you. I didn't mean to cut in. I promise I was going to give you enough time to express yourself, because this is some of the stuff you stay here. I already told you in advance, will be like a kind of a commentary on where you stand, because we're going to cut it into little pieces and we're going to put it out there for those who don't know where you stand, whether they agree or disagree. They have to be clear. So where I've interrupted you and you have not finished, just tell me I've not finished, and I will let you finish your thoughts. So that way, there's a reason I brought it here and not on Clubhouse, because we don't want you to be interrupted. I want to hear your clear thoughts. By the way, you have lots of fans in the audience already texting. By the way, you guys can send your text on what you think on the questions, on what you think of Mr. Sowore himself, or what is on the table and all that. To do that, all you need to do is, if you are watching from Naija Lives Matter page on Facebook, we are everywhere. I think we are also live on my own personal page. We are live on the Sowore's page. All you need to do to authorize Facebook to show your comments, you just need to go to streamyard.com/Facebook. It will ask you, do you want them to show your comments for this event? You click yes, and then your comments will come in regardless of where you are watching this, and I will pull it up as relevant. And if you also have questions for Mr. Sowore based on the question is discussing, please post it. This is as much an interaction with the public as much as with Okwebanwo one-on-one. All right, so this is your rigging that we are still talking about. Fair enough, you've explained what you meant by that, and to a large extent, I will agree with you, even though I don't think, even if it was fair, you will have won, because I felt a lot of your...
Well, you can't come to the conclusion that if an election was fair, that I won't win. I cannot imagine.
Sure, I let you finish when you are talking. This is a discussion.
I cannot imagine.
Give me my own 1 minute.
No, let me just say that I cannot imagine sensible and reasonable people listen to me and Buhari and Atiku and then decide to vote for Atiku or Buhari. It's not possible. You know, in this election, we are talking about almost 20 million young people, right? All of them could not have accepted, the 5,000 naira that they're giving out. No. A lot of them are people who are okay, the middle class people. They registered to vote. They were actually looking forward to a real election. They were looking forward to debates. They were asking for manifestos, and we provided this. I was the candidate that traveled to the most states, most cities, first holding town hall meetings and then going back to do campaigns without a private jet. I just traveled by land, sometimes by water, sometimes by air, through commercial flights. I traveled also outside of Nigeria, widely. I traveled as far as Australia, South Africa, Canada, the USA. I did over 8 to 9 cities in the US campaigning. I campaigned everywhere. I cannot imagine that these people would then choose to vote for Buhari. But one of the things they did when they wanted to start the whole scam, the date of the real election that was selected, they shifted the date for about 2 weeks or so, about a week. A lot of people that even came from the US and other places to Nigeria to vote, people in diaspora that traveled, had to go back because they didn't have enough holiday time to wait for the date the election was shifted to. INEC was unprepared because they had made up their mind as to who will become the selected candidate in that election. So if we have free and fair elections, the most competent candidate would win. And I cannot imagine that Buhari would defeat me, the Buhari that could barely speak, or an Atiku who doesn't know his left from his right. I don't imagine that they would defeat me. It's not possible.
All right. Now, let's do this so that we don't make this a rowdy interview. Lots of the world are watching us, and I can guarantee you at least another 1 million more will watch this video. I give you my word on that. So let's make it civil. I give you time to talk. When I start talking, if you cut into me, I'm not going to agree. You are not going to intimidate me on my show. So I'll give you enough time to say your piece. I'm going to say mine. All right. When I'm done, then you say yours. That way we have a civil conversation. Okay. There's a reason why I brought it here. All right. I was just responding to you. Okay. You are finished. What I'm saying, from where I'm standing. Okay. I had made a statement before you cut in that I didn't even think if they did a fair and fair election, you will win. You don't have to agree. And here are my reasons. Number one, I felt that not that you are not popular among the youths, but that is not a prerequisite for winning election. Fela was more popular than you. Fela did not win. Gani Fawehinmi was more popular than you. They have followers that are 10 times what you have. They didn't win either. For a simple reason.
That's correct. Fela never.
I am not.
See, we have to agree that you.
No, I am not.
You have to agree that you don't run away with an untrue statement. No. Dr. Bawo, Fela never ran for election. Never ran as a candidate in a national election. Okay. He actually formed a political party and wanted to run, but he never ran. He was never on the ballot. Yes, Ganifa Weme was on the ballot, but the argument here is not whether Ganifa Weme was more popular than Sowore. The argument was that that Ganifa Weme himself said that he was rigged out of the election. There was an election. The difference is that in our own case in 2019, there was no election. So why are we arguing about who was more popular or not? Where did you do the poll to make that determination?
Fair enough. Again, I'm trying because you are my guest. If it's somebody else's show, but now me and you will be going at it. You are my guest, so I'm going to be nice. But it's not a nice thing to cut people off midstream when they have not even started. It's different if I've started.
We have to correct if you are putting up, because you see you are a fast speaker, like you're a firecracker. If we allow you to walk away with opinions or facts that are inaccurate, then we are doing the public a disservice. That's exactly why you.
So want to rumble, and I will rumble with you, because every statement you make, every statement you make, I could also cut you in and challenge you. But then Nigerians will not get the opportunity to hear both sides well. This is a problem, because if you do this in a debate, just like Trump was doing, you will come out as very rude, even when you are correct. I'm just saying. But you want to play the game? Trust me, I'm a rumbler also. We can go at it. Then both of us will look stupid to Nigerians. You let me finish? Then
don't look stupid.
Okay. That's what happened with Trump, in my own opinion. Even though I was even a supporter of his, I thought he's just coming in and instead of waiting for one guy to finish and say his piece, to me, it doesn't sound presidential. But I hear you. You are who you are. You got to do your stuff the way you want to do it. I've just given you fair warning. Okay. My point here is, again, that I will still try to make. Because if we don't learn from the past, we are bound to repeat it. I agree with you. There's rigging. Any blind person agree that is rigging. And maybe we can get into, okay, you cannot say from your point of view that there was rigging or there was no election. You can't say somebody didn't win. I get that point. But the point I want you to get from my own point of view is that looking at you and your supporters, I felt that many of them let you down because they didn't even get a PVC. So what I expect you to take from that, of course, you can choose to take or not take it, is that is a big part of what you need to go, because you've got these guys, but many of them, they are right here on screen, and I'm going to be putting up their info, their stuff, their comments here. You put your life on the line, but putting life on the line is not enough to win an election. They have to have PVC, they have to be eligible to vote. And I continue to maintain that people can only rig where they are popular. If you are a very popular candidate, there's no way they can rig you. You know why? I was there in Imo State when they tried to rig Rochas out in 2015. I don't know about 2019. I was monitoring that election under the auspices of the United Nations Organization with my own organization called Nigerian Election Vigilantes Organization. I saw it live. I still have the videos on my system. When they tried to steal those ballot boxes, Rochas people, they wrestled them down and beat them senseless. If you have overwhelming voters, then you get to a place and you tell me they rig your election, then to me, but I don't want us to spend all our time debating that. Yeah, at least Nigerians have had your take on that, and that's good. Now, my next question, we're still on the setting the stage here, okay, because we want to be fair to Nigerians out there who are watching this and who are going to be watching recorded version. You appear to be contradicting yourself to me. Maybe it's because I don't understand what you meant, and that is why I'm going to be giving you opportunity to explain this to us. Our first meeting on Clubhouse, you can remember that it was contentious because I was coming in from an angle of my own interpretation of your struggle until you broke it down and said, no, that's not what I'm about. This is what I'm about. So you have this, we have a Chinyeres in the house. I'm going to bring you up in a minute. You have this thing, revolution now. Two questions I have for you. What exactly do you mean by revolution now? And if it is that you want to break up the whole system, or I think I'll have a follow-up to that. What exactly do you mean by revolution now? Go, sir. Your turn.
I explained it earlier. The revolution now emerged out of a realization and also a necessity to put an end to a system that is not working, a system that is unfair, unjust, and inhuman. And I'm not saying it just generically. I have facts to support this, that Nigeria cannot, or the people of Nigeria cannot continue to bear the burden of leadership failures and accept that in every election cycle, or they'll be told to wait for another 4 years each time they are confronted with insecurity, unemployment, corruption, incompetence in government, total breakdown of law and order that we have seen. And the revolution now was to challenge that and put an end to that system that doesn't work for everybody or anybody. It works for only a few, not up to even 1% of the populace. And this is public, is available information. And what revolution now came out, we said we want to put an end to that. We want to put, and we're very specific. They want to put an end to a leadership that's ineffective, inefficient, and reluctant to do anything
How
good.
do you plan to do that? How do you plan to do that?
Well, you know, wait, exactly. That's probably the question you had not asked.
Yes.
Is to put boots on the ground. When I mean boots on the ground, is that we believe that a mass uprising in the country, very peaceful mass uprising with huge numbers of Nigerians rejecting the old order, can completely change
the ballot box.
That situation. And it includes, and I've said this publicly, it includes putting an end to a fraudulent constitution that is governing Nigeria now. A constitution that was not even available in print, either electronically or in print, the day the Nigerian democracy was established 20 years ago. This is called morontocracy. That's what I love to call it. It's, government of morons, for morons, and by morons. Yes. So that's the system that we say we can't continue with. And that's what revolution now is about. So what else do I need to explain to you? It's that even if you don't understand what revolution now is about, you saw EndSARS, and EndSARS is an uprising. It's still not a revolution yet, because if it was a revolution, it would have stood its ground until the system would have collapsed under the weight of its own contradictions. And that's what revolution now is about. And since I came out of detention, as you are aware, right? As you are aware, since I came out of detention, I have not changed my position. It's the same thing I said when I was in detention that I'm saying when I came out of detention. In fact, I've been back in detention since I was released in 2019, December. Again, I was arrested on January 1st, 2021, because I've maintained consistently that this system is not going to work, and it's not working for anybody, and we must put an end to the system of oppression.
The part I'm not clear about, and you have clarified it, is that you are saying that this revolution now is actually going to be accomplished by mass uprising, not through the ballot box. Basically, I just needed clarity there. And
we just had a conversation about the ballot box. There's no ballot box anymore. They have destroyed the ballot box.
All right.
Anybody that is asking for a ballot box is assuming that there's a ballot that is coming their way. They no longer use the ballot box has been desecrated. Nobody believes in it. Nobody uses the ballot box anymore in Nigeria. It's just a subterfuge. It's a facade to create an impression that somehow, if you wait for 4 years and you are unlucky enough to obtain what they call the PVC, the poverty verification card, and you go to the polling unit, they will give you the outcome of your choice. That has not happened in Nigeria since 2019. The elections that took place after 2019 were terrible elections. They did not meet the standard for elections. The Tatata election that happened in Kogi State, where that criminal became governor again, is that an election, or is it the one that happened in Bayelsa State?
I hear you.
Or the see and buy election that happened in Ondo State, where you stand there at the ballot, at the polling unit, and they're haggling and paying people off and collecting, their PVCs and using them to thumbprint multiple times. Is that election? You were mentioning Imo State in 2015. Did you forget? Probably you didn't hear about that. That the same Russia, Sokorosha, had to hold a gun to the head of the electoral officer in that's the returning officer, to announce him as the winner of the senatorial election, which he didn't win. The man came out and said, no, he didn't win, but he's now a senator. So progressively, the Nigerian ballot box and its credibility has been eroded. And I can't be deceiving you and be deceiving myself that if you wait for another until 2023, you hide in a corner, you can just jump out of the bush and go and vote again, and the election will count. Who's going to count it? The same INEC that is corrupt, that is compromised, that doesn't care about, the tenets of democracy? Or is it the Nigerian army or the police who are now participants in the process of desecration of the electoral system that will give you a fair outcome in an election? It's not going to happen.
All right.
So if you think this happened in 2015, that happens.
We cannot spend 1 hour repeating the same. I hear you 100%. You've said
I'm not repeating the same thing. I'm giving facts.
Okay, now let a follow up to that. Okay, I hear you 100%, and there is a reason why we are doing this, and I'm glad you have been very vocal about it. I did promise I'm going to let you hear it out. Now, a corollary to that same question, and that is where I am confused. I hear you clearly what you are about, but then why are you contesting under a system that you agree is broken down? That is the contradiction I have a problem with. You have a party. Sir, let me finish with all due respect. Okay, let me finish my question. So you have mentioned that you don't like the system, and I get you. I myself don't like it. Now, your stated intention to go away with it is mass uprising and taking it by force, so to speak. Then why do you bother incorporating a party? Why are you bothering running as a presidential candidate in the same system that you think is rotten? Now, go, sir. Your turn.
In 2018, when I started running, even before I started running, the world revolution had always been part of my agenda. It's always been part of my campaign. And anybody who listened to my campaign, which a lot of people have said is flawless, in 2018 and 2019 knew that I said it clearly, that the system is rotten. But if I don't test the electoral process so that people understand whether it's legit or not, people will say to you, oh, you had a chance, you could have run and won the election and changed the system. But in going and running in that system, I did it to expose the underbelly of this corrupt system so that people could see, because I've gone there to participate. Because you and I know that people are very quick to say that, oh, if you're abroad, it's easy for you to just sit down behind a keyboard and say whatever you want because you don't see the reality. It is the reality that I went to see. But even before then, I'd always said very clearly that if we win that election, in itself, it will be a revolution. And when we came out of the election, we explained what the electoral process was. There's nobody here who disagrees with me that there are no elections happening in Nigeria anymore. Those who are afraid, who think, well, we're asking for too much by asking for a revolution, will say, well, why don't you go and try your luck? Even state governments who run their own electoral committees or processes don't allow elections to happen for local government elections anymore. So they've closed the window for democratic elections to happen. The only other alternative is for us to fight to expand that democratic space by putting our feet to the ground. So you mentioned that, oh, I created a political party. It is yes, because when I was running in 2018, I couldn't find a political party that would accept me because they said I was too radical. I had to go on the ground to register a political party. And as soon as the elections were over, before the elections could be over, they tried to hijack the party. But because it's a party don't exist for elections only. They exist for ideological reasons. Are you getting me clear? The ANC as a political party in South Africa did not run for election until 1994 or thereabout. Dr. Kwema, if you look at the history of the South African struggle, but they existed as a political party.
You ran 2 years ago. You ran.
Yes. I ran 2 years ago.
I'm hearing you now. To be able to test the system. Now you are convinced the system is corrupt, it's not repairable, and you want to do away with it. So now, are you going to run in 2023 then or not?
I am running now. And the battle and the running we're doing now is not a 2023 battle. It's a battle to take Nigeria back now. That's why we call it revolution now. So that you can have a 2022 and before you can have a 2023, right? The way Nigeria is today.
You are not answering my question. Is that through the ballot box or through the violence? I need to be clear. That's the question I want to ask.
I have explained to you that I do not believe in violence. I believe in non-violence. But I believe that non-violence can resolve the issue of terrible leadership.
All right.
Right?
So
I know that the leadership in Nigeria doesn't respect non-violence. If you are not carrying AK-47 and bazookas, they don't listen to you. But I'm convinced that with the majority of our people using their strength, energy, and their feet and their conscience, we can defeat the characters that are running Nigeria today without shooting a gun.
All right.
So now, to shoot because I've done it in the past. I was part of the non-violent group of students, professionals, lawyers in Nigeria, doctors, when I'm talking about professionals, nurses, labor movement people, who drove the military out of power without shooting a gun. So I have experience fighting bad leadership non-violently.
So where was the military driven out of power? I'm confused. In which country? Nigeria? When?
Nigeria, yes. The military was...
How did we get the military from government without? How did we do it?
We kept organizing, marching, protesting. We had sit-outs. We had sit-at-homes. We had strikes. We had class boycotts between 19. Between 19 that I know of, between 1989 that I got into the University of Lagos till 1998 and 1999 that I left Nigeria, there was no one day that we did not protest against military rule until the military decided that they were no longer welcome and acceptable and organized elections. That happened in Nigeria, and I was part of the people that did it. Fela was part of the people that did it. Fela Kuti. Beko was part of people that did it. Beko Ransom Kuti. Olusegun Mayegun was part of the people that did it. Gani Fawemi was part of the people that did it. Femi Falana, who is my lawyer today, were part of the people that did it. This is history. Wole Soyinka was part of the people that did it. Antonio Nahoro were part of the people that did it. Balarabe Musa in the north. Shehu Sani, who went to jail, under the military. They framed him up that he was planning a coup against Abacha. Spent years. These people all participated in it. Olisa Agbakoba, Ayobe. So what else do I need to tell you? Abiola himself, who was a candidate who won the election, and his election was annulled, which led to the escalation of the political crisis. They were the part of the people that drove the military out of power. The military didn't leave on its own volition. Had we left them to their own devices, the military would still be in power today. Had we left Obasanjo to his own devices, he would have done the third time and probably be in power today. There wouldn't have been an Yaradua or a Jonathan or even the mannequin at Aso Rock today. This Mr. Haji Buhari, who is neither here nor there, who nobody knows what he's doing, if he's alive or not. So I'm just giving you the background information. Like I said, I will avail you with facts, that can help you understand where I'm coming from.
No, okay, fair enough, sir. I just want to be sure. I guess it's a matter of interpretation, because the idea that you drove the military out of power, or you and some people drove military out of power, is an idea that I actually don't believe happened, because I was there, and I could also of course pressure will always keep going, but I think it's more of an exaggeration to say you drove the military out of power. But I hear you.
It's not an exaggeration. It happened because the military was forced actually to a negotiating table. I wasn't there because I wasn't interested in it. I left Nigeria in 1999. But they were forced to negotiate with civil society. They were forced to call people and say, look, we're leaving, and go and organize yourself and have elections. I don't think they would have left had the pressure not been so much that they knew that nothing else was acceptable.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Just a second here. I'm trying to make sure I have my questions up. All right, let's go to the next thing. I think is a good background that we're laying here. One more issue, and I'm going to beg you to let me finish it because I know it's one of the areas that really ticks you off when somebody says it. That's why I'm prefacing it for you to calm down as I'm going to say this, because before I finish, you probably won't let me. But I think, and I'm coming in again, I did promise you I'm going to come in from the angle of an observer, somebody who's observing and being very objective without an opinion that is tilted to you or against you. If those who are watching this, if they were to watch my last broadcast on my personal page, on my business page, you will hear the last 10 minutes of it. You all will hear me recommending that I think the person to lead this fight now is Sowore. So I have nothing against him. I myself have endorsed him on my own platforms. Just the very last video that I did, it was the one where I was calling for end Buhari. And I'm saying if we're going to end Buhari, we need a focused leader, somebody with who's ready to put his life on the line. And I made a good argument about why a Sowore might be the guy we need. And not necessarily talking about the presidential election, but we really want to have results on the streets. We need a street fighter like a Sowore. So there is no animosity here. But I have a question for you that I think might be accounting for part of the reason why you probably are not getting the leverage that you need. It seems that a section of the public, maybe the youths that are supposed to be your powerhouse, you have some credibility issues with them. Some of them don't want to have anything to do with you because they feel that you were I don't want to use a negative word, that you're a co-conspirator with the powers that be, that you fought, you are making someone like Asiwaju look good when it suited you. Now that it doesn't suit you, you are shouting revolution now. What say you to that, sir? Go.
No, Dr. Kwebanwo,
Yes.
you've reached a level where you can't just say things that are not accurate. When I say they're not accurate, is that when you throw
I ask you
small, you just calm down too, right? When you say that somebody makes Asiwaju look good, you are referring to Tinubu, right? And the question will be to you, before you came to that conclusion, have you read my background? Do you know where I'm coming from? To the point that, can I say to you that by 1992, when Bola Tinubu was a senator at the Nigerian Senate under Babangida's diarchy, they had an arrangement where Babangida was a military president and they had civilian governors and senators at that time. That's what we call a diarchy. Have you ever seen anything I said in support of Tinubu? In 1992, if they call a meeting of political juggernauts, I was already the student union president at the University of Lagos. If I'm sitting in front, Tinubu would be sitting in the audience because we were firebrand. And I was young. In 1992, I was 21 years old. So where did it come from that I make Tinubu feel good? Is it the story about his drug history? He used to do heroin business in Chicago. And he had collaborators, including his wife, who is a senator now. And I went.
Tinubu deals in drugs, and his wife. Is that your statement?
Yes, yes. This is public record. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was the only person. I went to Chicago and purchased the records. You know how records are purchased in the US court records. If they have been long there, you have to pay for each page that you photocopy. It's supposed to be a public document. I purchased it and put it out, detailing his drug history. That information is out till tomorrow. It came from our outfit, Sahara Reporters. Documented. I also uploaded at that time the documentation from that conviction. He wasn't convicted. It was those days that the US was probably still easy on drug dealers. They will, in place of conviction, they will seize your money. I think they seized about $600,000 from him. So where do you get the impression that I make that person look good? Where? And there's no reporting that is going on about the corruption that is going on in Lagos that does not have an imprimatur or Sahara reporters breaking the stories
And I think it's
as they are
important.
happening,
I
doing
think it's
investigative reporting.
sir,
And I've
with all due
told
respect,
it publicly. And if any, let me just finish, sir. Let me just finish. I've told it publicly that if anybody ever seen me in his house before, they should come and put out the date and the time. I've never seen Tinubu. I've only met Tinubu only once in my life in 1999 before I left Nigeria on the street. I was with Dr. Fashion, Frederick Fashion, late now, and Olarewaju Suraj. She's still alive, young guy, an anti-corruption fighter in the country. Dr. Fashion said, "This is the person they call Bola Tinubu." And because he was from Nadeko abroad, we greeted on the street there. And that's the first and the last time I met this person. I've never seen him since then. I have no relationship whatsoever with him. But because of the kind of difficult job I do, which is offending powerful people, they weave all kinds of stories. Oh, Sowore works for Tinubu, Sowore works for Buhari, Sowore works for APC. Then there was a time APC now started saying that I'm working for PDP because I started exposing their own behinds in their corrupt activities. So we have people like me have to live with that. But honestly, I don't expect people like you who could just do a simple research to repeat the same in public or on a platform like this that I make Tinubu look good, except you can present one article or a video, because I'm vocal enough to have recorded my activities over these years, that's in which I made him look good. Just one.
again,
I'm sure you can't find, but you just throw it out there in a manner that makes it look as if it's true. And the truth is that it's false.
Are you done, sir?
I'm done.
All right. Now you need to pay attention, sir, with all due respect. You are my VIP guest, and I'm trying very hard not to get into a contentious thing, but we are going to get into it very soon. Don't take things personal. I didn't say I said this, or do you want me to go show you articles on the internet, thousands of them that are saying it? I'm giving you opportunity to explain, and you have. Don't make it seem as if I am saying it, because you are saying you don't expect somebody of my level to say it's a question that is out there. And as a president, do not interrupt me. Let me finish. I gave you 5 minutes. Okay. What I'm saying to you is that the reason why we're having this show is to give you opportunity to clear the air about some of the stuff that is out there that is that may be affecting your credibility. And I brought one of them up. I have not said, I was clear at the beginning that I'm not going to voice my opinion here. My job is as an interviewer. Okay. I'm not debating you as a presidential candidate. I am not debating you as a politician. I am here to give you opportunity to say your piece about issues that are out there. Just like, for instance, they said the SARS people rejected you from addressing them. I'm not the one saying it. It is out there. So respond to the question out there. Don't make it personal, because if you make it personal, let me finish. Due respect. Let me finish. No, this is my interview. You are going to let me finish. When I'm done, I will ask you. I gave you time.
When you are done with this,
yes.
Let me finish. Interviewing with me, right? I will interview with other people. Yes. You also have to understand that there's nothing wrong with it if we get into a hot debate. You invited me. You know that we are about to have very difficult conversations. You introduced me already as a controversial person. That should have told you in advance that you are coming to bump heads with somebody that doesn't.
So what I'm saying is that the questions, be patient to hear my question. Now, if I'm the one saying it, I will tell you. So my questions that I'm bringing out, I have no problem with your response, other than you accusing me of saying I should not be saying it. I'm a journalist in this respect. I have researched you, and I've seen questions people are saying about you. I have brought it up. Your job is to clear. Don't say you don't expect somebody like me. That is getting personal, and it gets personal with me very quickly too. I'm a very controversial guy too, but that would not be fair to you. You are the person that is running for election. Or rather, you are the one that is in the face of the audience. I'm giving you an opportunity to explain what is out there. Don't assume that I'm the one saying it or that I even believe it. See, I won't be a good interviewer if I don't bring questions that is being discussed out there, albeit false or not false, simply because I don't believe it. Not my belief is irrelevant here. So now, please answer the question. You have responded to the Asiwaju thing, and that is fine. It's for Nigerians to decide whether they believe you or not. And I like the way you have addressed it squarely. Now, also, part of the credibility issues I think you are facing, which was really my question, Asiwaju just came in as an aside, was that the youth that is supposed to be your hottest constituency, they don't, all of them don't, most of them, or many of them, let me be careful about my words now because you tend to nitpick. Many of them don't seem to trust you. They don't, for instance, in the NSAS campaign, many of them rejected you when you went in there to try to address them. And I'm saying, what do you think is causing that? And how do you deal with that as somebody who needs these 50 million youths to back you? Go, sir. Your turn.
Well, let me address quickly your concerns about taking things personal. Because I think it's a function of the operating words.
Oh, sorry, your audio went. Your all right. I think it's going to come back.
I think it's a function of the operating words you use.
Okay.
When you say, for instance, when you use the word "I think" that people don't trust you, you have also personally delivered an opinion. So don't forget that I am here from also a journalistic background. I do interview people a lot, and
it's not always when you are the one being interviewed.
Yeah, so I'm glad I'm the one on the hot seat. But what I'm saying is that just as you're saying it, I'm also responding to you in a way that people can understand accurately, to differentiate between your own personal opinion and the opinion of that's flying in the face of falsehood. Because so many of these things have been addressed even between you and I at another forum in the clubhouses where we had conversations. And see, at this issue that you brought up again here about being rejected at NSAS.
You said I was, now I'm saying it. This is no longer opinion.
Yeah. I understand. So now I can answer you.
Yes.
I told you elsewhere before that that's also inaccurate. You see, the moment NSAS started, right, I was one of the people that started NSAS nationwide, right? And there's plenty of evidence to show that.
Actually, it was Segun Awosanya that started NSAS years.
I'm saying when you know about, if you
your statement too.
Wait, listen now.
You did not. Sir. It's not what you just did to me.
Can you calm yourself down?
Now you see how it looks. All right, you didn't start that fast.
Calm down. We are talking about the recent NSAS protests.
Okay.
Right? Not NSAS as a movement.
Okay, great. So
even the NSAS movement you are talking about that Awosanya started, ask Awosanya. I was one of the first few people who was in his WhatsApp group when NSAS started.
Okay,
with Abdul Mahmoud. I exited that group because I said I cannot combine the work of NSAS with reporting that I was doing around that time. You can ask Awosanya. I still have a screenshot of the first ever NSAS WhatsApp group that was started. I was part of it with Adebayo Raphael. I can go into that, but I'm not trying to contest for credit as to who started NSAS. I would give that to Segun Awosanya because it was his idea. He invited us to it. But I'm saying the NSAS protest, though, that started recently, that is widely known as NSAS, the uprising. I was one of the first person to start it in Abuja. I led the same youth that you said don't trust me to the headquarters of the Nigerian police, FAS, and Runtown, a guy called Runtown. I think his stage name is Runtown, and FAS, that is Fola Falana. Then did their own in Lagos. And Renew, when he wanted to start her own as well, I think Renew them also were starting somewhere in Kenya.
respect,
I was,
let's go to history.
I
asked
was
you,
on the phone with
why
Renu.
is the
I
answer
just want to give you, if you don't want me to, if you don't want me to speak,
no, no, no,
just
no,
let's
no,
end this interview so that
no,
you
no,
can,
no, no,
because
no,
when I
sir,
speak,
respect.
you don't
Because
let me speak. When you speak and when I try to cut in, you said I'm being disrespectful. Let me finish. I'm just saying that whatever happened in that one instance that you are using doesn't represent the facts. The fact was that I walked into that place, they made up a story that I was coming in from the National Assembly, even though I came in from an Uber, right? And I confronted them. The problem was that they said that I'm wearing Revolution Now t-shirt. And I said to them, this is on record, I said, how are you different from Buhari if you criticize or if you tell people what to wear to a protest? I disagreed with them vehemently. They didn't know what to do. And they said, leave. And I said, calm yourself down. And then they took a shot of that argument, ran with it. But I stood my ground, and the same persons came, because this was live on my page. You can go and look at it. This is why I ask you to do maybe a little bit of background research and work before you make assumptions or think about anything and put it in public. So many of them came and apologized to me. I left when it was time to leave and continued to participate in NSAS protests till the end. In fact, when everybody had gone away after the shooting at Lekki, I led a group of youths to go to the airport to do a graffiti at the airport. The graffiti is still there at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Next day, we took the graffiti to the National Assembly, continuing the NSAS battle. So I am just explaining this to you so that you can have a grip of what it is and not run with facts, opinions that are not facts, that might also impugn on your credibility as an interviewer in the future, because you're going to need your own credibility as well, right? To keep doing what you are doing, which I respect a lot, right?
no, my
What
credibility
you
is
are doing now reminds me of one
okay, sir.
Pastor Adelaja during the election in 2019. He wants to interview all of us. His name is Pastor Adelaja. I think he's in Ukraine. I want to interview Sowore. I want to interview Kingsley. He interviews everybody. And then he turns around at the end to go and support Buhari and lost credibility. I'll say that publicly. So as much as you think I need my credibility intact, you too need your credibility intact as an interviewer. You do. We both do.
I just want to know where you are done. See, because all right. See, I think let's do it this way because again, I know my weaknesses. I'm also very feisty, and I don't want to come across as bringing in a guest and not giving that guest opportunity to talk. Okay, that will not be fair to you because you chose to come in, and I appreciate that. So rather than us jumping in at ourselves, why don't we agree as gentlemen now? All right. When you are talking, okay, when you are done talking, you say, I'm done. I do my turn. When I'm done, I say I'm done before you jump in. Can you do that? Can we agree as gentlemen to do that?
That's fine. Go ahead. Let's go.
All right. So the reason why I raise this issue again, I don't want people to lose sight of the reason why I do these interviews. My interviews is to put everybody I bring here on the spot, on the record, to explain issues that I believe surround them and also articulate their views on issues, for the simple reason that we have been misled before, where we all get very hot about a candidate without having clarity of what it stands for, something that we can then hold them to if they get in there and they misbehave. It does not speak to my own preference. Okay, my preference right now, if anybody were to ask me, would be an organization called This Ends Now, which actually just even started yesterday. I give them my support. I support them. They are not even run. They are not politicians. They are just people in diaspora and locally who are opposed to bad governance. If I have any, what I call biased sympathy for anybody I bring here, it's going to be that organization. Whether fella comes here or not, I'm going to interview him like an objective person. It does not mean I support him. So like that gentleman in Ukraine, I don't know what he told you guys before I started interviewing you. My interviewing people does not mean I support them or don't support them. At the end of the day, I still have to make a decision on who I want to support. Okay? So if that man clarified that, there should be no reason why you should be disappointed in him if he decided that Buhari was the guy that will do it, what he believes is his opinion. And so, but let's come back to the issue. Because now I feel, now I'm talking from me observing you, observing the scenario surrounding you. I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm just saying like an objective observer, because I do like you a lot. And I felt part of the challenges you are having right now is that the youths that should be 100% you were not, and that some of them during this NSAS, they, rather than embracing you, they rejected you. I'm not saying negatively. I'm saying that's what I observed, and you lost your temper in that clubhouse, and that's why I brought it up again, because you have not clarified for me. Now you are clarifying a bit. They did reject you at one location, but you stated your ground, and then it was just a one faction, and then they apologized later. Do we agree that that's what happened, or you don't agree? I'm done.
I disagree. I'm just telling you. You just said that I was rejected at one location. There was no two locations to it. We were at the front of the National Assembly. I arrived there, and they said I was wearing Revolution Now T-shirt, and they don't want Revolution Now. And I told them it was wrong and discriminatory, and that this is the same problem that we're facing. What does SAS do? They discriminate against people because of the clothes they're wearing or their haircut. And they realized very quickly that what they were doing was wrong. And because I stood there and kept addressing the issues, so many of them left, and then some of them came back later and said they're sorry. And I continued with them until it was time to leave, and I left. All these things were taken down. It was available on record. So I'm just saying there's always a lot more than what you hear sometimes when it comes to people like us. But we understand I've lived through this for 30 years. I attended the University of Lagos. I was fighting cultism when I was in the university. The university turned around and said I'm a cult member myself. Expelled me and seized my results. So I'm used to this level of victimization, either because of ignorance or malice. Because I have to be open with you that I offend very powerful people, and they do everything they can to get back at me whenever they have a small opportunity to do so. It's the reason I spent 5 months in detention in 2019 for a simple reason. After 2 weeks in detention, Buhari sent a delegation to me asking me if I wanted to make amends, and I refused. And they left me in detention for another 5 months because I took a principled position that I can. In fact, they went to my lawyer, Femi Falana, and said, if I could apologize publicly to the president, they will leave me. And I told Femi Falana, I don't even need to tell him that it's not going to happen over my dead body. That made me spend 5 months in detention under a democratic era. And you see my notes here. They broke it on January 1 because I went back on the streets covering youths that were protesting against the government. A police officer came, about 3 trucks, and they started beating us up and beating them up. And when I approached them, they pounced on me, broke my nose, and I spent 11 days in detention. You are aware of that. So when you take principled position, you suffer the consequences, Doctor.
All right, I hear you, and I am feeling a bit bad that you seem to take my observations as if I'm against you. I'm not. Again, like I said, if I'm against you, I will never talk about you and endorse you on my page. What I'm bringing up are issues that I feel that maybe you want to address, and so that maybe that might be an issue, not because I see it as negative, but we're going to leave this issue because you have said.
Let's go ahead. I don't see any problem.
Because you have said I don't do my research before I come here. If you know me well, just like I probably don't know you well too. I don't make statements that I can't back up. Give me a second. Let's watch the video. Then we continue. Right here. This is the video. Now, that is just one of about 5 videos in that area that I watched. That is what made me ask this question. Again, I'm not saying it negatively. I'm saying if it looks like some of this use, there might not even be many, okay? But we are going to drop that issue. But I wanted you to know that I do my research. I just don't come here and make statements. My statement came from...
But there's nothing in that video that contradicts... There's nothing in that video... There's nothing in that video that contradicts my position about the story.
So what are
we arguing about?
We agreed that we will let each other finish. This will get very ugly if we don't do this, okay? I will just
you don't need to make any threats.
No, I'm not making threats. I'm saying
what is going to get ugly? What is going to get ugly about two men having a conversation about Nigeria? Nigeria is an ugly place.
Okay,
ugly political situation.
I withdraw that. I withdraw it. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. See, because we don't want to get caught up in that. I hear you 100% is a one-sided look, but that's what I saw. So I hear you 100%, and you have explained what happened, and I think that solves the situation for those like me who saw that, and that's what they are thinking. But you have explained what happened, and Nigerians can judge for themselves. All right. On a funny note, I have a video I'm going to show you. Okay, I did tell you I was going to show that video before, so it's okay. Let's play.
Nigeria has no adopted state religion. So if it decides to have a traditional, or if it decides to worship Sango or Ogun or whatever God decides to worship, and decides to have his chief priest in the court as we have him today, I think it's within his rights to do so, because in Nigeria we don't have a state religion. So traditional religion is also permissible and allowed under our constitution. To very serious matters, very serious business of court today. The states commenced a proper trial today. They called the first witness who came to court to testify.
Sorry, I stopped the video not because I didn't want to hear the full of it, but I wanted to just comment on that part about bringing juju men to court. Now, is it your position? Because again, I have no friend when I'm interviewing, and I'm glad that you're a stand-up guy. You can speak for yourself. Now, was that just a fun thing to intimidate or to, I don't even know what it is. What was that all about? Are we going to be looking to a Sowore that is going to be using juju man in office when he becomes president, or it's just fun? Again, it's a question for you based on my observation. No comments either way until you comment. Go, sir.
Well, you know, I'm an African, right? And I have a problem when people describe African culture or tradition in ways that I feel denigrates our culture. You know, calling somebody who came to court in an African attire or even his own spiritual conviction a juju man doesn't sit very well with me. It just makes me feel like Africans always think that they're inferior to other cultures, especially Europeans and Arabs. You see, Christianity is the juju of Romans, right? Islam is the juju, what you call the juju of Arabs. We adopted them, we accepted them before they arrived on our shores. We had our own way of life. We had our own spiritual ways of dealing with things that are afflicting us. Some of us still do that. We still go back to villages where there are traditional events. Would you call traditional weddings, for example, a wedding of Juju man? But I know that as Africans, we are the only race in the whole wide world who gets defensive when our tradition is introduced in any culture. If you go to India, right, where Gandhi was a major player in the civil rights movement there, you don't call this Sharon Juju because that's their culture. This is African culture. I don't have anything to defend. I don't have anything to be defensive about. The reason I'll say that to you is that in my previous court appearances, I had gone with a pastor. No, I didn't go with a pastor, but the pastor accompanied me and introduced himself to the magistrate and said, I'm Sowore's pastor. And we laughed over it because the judge was trying to empty the court. He said, I don't want anybody. And they let him sit down. I'd been accompanied to court proceedings by Muslims, people wearing turbans on their heads. Nobody called them Juju men. But the moment we Africans see ourselves, we call ourselves all kinds of derogatory names because we no longer believe in Africa and the African culture, that our culture is not inferior to that of Europeans. In the same way people describe me because I wear a necklace that's made of cowrie shells. You know, said, oh, you are wearing juju around your neck or you're wearing juju on your wrist. You know, what about wristwatch? Is it not juju too? Because it shakes, every second. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the fact that, yes, people have, adopted foreign religion or religions that are foreign to Africa and have become title holders in those religions does not mean that the African own way of handling issues or beliefs is inferior. That's where I disagree. And that's the reason I don't have anything to explain to anybody that someone wearing clothes that are hand-woven. These are hand-woven African clothes. And, and every other thing he carried are all synonymous and in sync with African culture. Why is it that we're questioning that, whereas we're not questioning the people who accompany me to court with, wearing suit and tie, or the lawyers who wear, the European wig and gown, which you can also call juju men, but we don't because everything in Africa has always been described and portrayed as inferior, and I think that's unfortunate.
All right, are you done, sir?
I'm done.
All right. The reason why it is important, so that you get it, the reason why I'm running this Naija Lives Matter show, I just started it a few months, and I'm going to keep doing it until we resolve some of these political issues. In as much as I can, I will try to dissociate my own personal belief from the belief of the candidate. Is for you to clarify why I think it's important. Is because religion is a big issue in Nigeria right now. People elect Buhari. And people like us having bitter regrets for having supported him in 2015. I didn't support him in 2019 because at that point it was clear to me that I made a mistake. All right, one of the things people are leveling against him right now is that he's a religious fanatic. He's a man that is trying to get Islamize Nigeria. Okay. And whether that is true or not is an issue. In fact, people have evidence that they can begin to quote. If I'm sure, if I give you 5 minutes, you can reel up 100 instances why you think that is correct. But that's not the point I want to make here. For the records, so that I'm transparent, I am a pastor. I'm an ordained pastor. I pastor a church. So when I see a future president of my country, okay, parading, I'm not saying anything is wrong with the traditional religion. Every man is free to follow what they want. But I need to know clear, and that is what we're doing, is we are putting clarity to your manifesto, okay, where you are speaking up against it. That's why I said we are going to cut every question I ask will be a video on its own, and I will push it out there for you. I said I was going to do that before we started, so there is nothing surprising that that's my own contribution to your campaign. You said clearly, and I appreciated that you don't want anybody's money. Let them go do this, go print flyers, go do this, and I appreciate that. I don't believe in printing flyers. I believe in running boosted posts of campaign promises or whatever. And I've said everybody that comes in here, I will spend a minimum of at least $500 the first week of that interview, and you're going to see me honor that. And then the more we do. But the reason why, if you are not trying to be part of the governance of Nigeria, either through revolution or either through clean and clear elections, if you're able to bring that about, is that what you believe on on the religion is very critical, so that we don't put you there and then all of a sudden juju men are full in Aso Rock and then we are complaining. People feel that when I use the word juju men, I don't use it negatively. That's what they are. They do juju. Juju is not negative. Oyibo people might try to make it a negative thing. Juju is part of our culture. My father was a juju man. My great-grandfather was a juju man in our village. No, I don't think so. I'm not using it in the negative connotation. I'm using it in the sense of that's what is used to represent African traditional religion. And I'm not quarreling with your characterization that the white men brought their own juju and all that, but that's where we are. So if you get to Aso Rock tomorrow and the people advising you are people, juju people using the sense I use it, or traditional worshippers, Nigerians should not complain, because I saw that man doing chanting in court and I was concerned. Initially, I thought it was just like effect to just, because that will create vibes. Just that's the way I saw it. Okay, that Sowore needed people to pay attention to this so that I can ultimately send this message across. But if you are saying it seriously that that's what you believe, then it's okay. Let Nigerians not then know. I'm not saying positive, I'm not saying negative. They get a whole package so that when you get in there and they see Juju in the White House, in Aso Rock, they don't start complaining. Buhari tried to give us the impression that he's not a very serious about this, that is secular, that is going to respect all religions. But that's not what he's doing. That is why that becomes relevant. And I'm going to give you another shot to address it again before we go to the next question. I actually wanted to use it as fun initially, but it looks like it has turned a serious question now. So let's go at it. So what say you to that? Go ahead.
I'm glad that you said that somebody was ranting and making incantation in court.
Yes.
But with due respect to our Christian brothers, what is speaking in tongue? Is it not incantation?
No, I agree, but that's not the question.
Yeah.
So
no, okay. I'm just addressing that. But what I want to say to you directly is that what got Nigeria to where it is today, it's religiosity. Religiosity to the point that people just use religion to subjugate, lie, and distort what should be an open society. The Nigerian constitution, their own constitution, recognizes its the secularity of the state.
Sorry, I can't offer you water. This is digital. Sorry, I will have offered you water now. But
I have water. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Doctor. So we have said it that we don't recognize any religion. Why then should the president go to Aso Rock with pastors? When Jonathan was in power, it was the reign of pastors. We were buying jets, people like Richard Jaffor. When Abacha was in power, they said they even went and dug the ground and buried cows alive to fortify themselves spiritually. They brought marabouts. The same thing is what Buhari is doing today. Nigeria needs to get rid of that mentality, that religious mentality. I have said it, if I become president of Nigeria, when I become president of Nigeria, I will not be funding pilgrimages to Mecca or Israel. If you want to go to Israel, go and buy your ticket and go there. You can stay as much as you want.
I agree, 100%.
If you want to go to Mecca, go and buy. The money that should be going from the federal government to sending people to Mecca, I will use it to build schools in Zamfara. Because right now,
we not get anything, Abi. Traditional rulers, nobody gets anything. Go ahead.
If a traditional ruler is interested in making money, he should organize for people to be touring his palace. People come from abroad and come and tour the place. They pay to. I went to Brazil, and there are more babalawos in Brazil than you have in Yoruba land. But before you can enter the shrine, you have to pay them some money. That's how they make their own money. Monetize whatever you are practicing traditionally. But that is not to say that we cannot have some funding for culture, and our tradition. I'm not opposed to that. But to answer your question directly, I am not going to be walking around with a juju man, as you said, you understand. Everybody will be free, though, to be around. If you're a pastor, you'll be free to come to the office. If you're a Muslim, you'll be free to come to the office. But the office is not going to become a religious center or a center for religious activities. Personally, I think spirituality and religion should be personal. You know, it's something you should do on a personal level. But what we do at our level sometimes is that we want to show that as Africans, we are not inferior to any other race. So a hand-woven cloth worn by an African should not be ridiculed, because we don't ridicule people who wear hand-woven ties, hand-woven suits or shoes. That is our culture. And if such a person decides that he wants to carry his apparel and the accessories that goes with it, with me to court, it's up to the judge to determine whether the person sits in the courtroom or not. To be fair to the judge on that day, the moment he asked, who is that person, we said, that is our person. He was, in fact, apparently he was the only person who was allowed to stay in the court apart from journalists and observers. Because the magistrate recognized, yes, the magistrate recognized his rights to be in the courtroom, you know. But it must not, we must not let this leave us in a lurch regarding how we respect our culture and tradition. Because it is a white man that came and demonized all this. Before, even if you go today to our various villages and towns and cities, our parents, some of our parents or our older parents, when they are doing Christianity, they still have their own culture on the side, right? The sarong that the Indians wear in Nigeria, is it not what the Yorubas call bante? You know, so because that they wear it to show their muscles, they wear it because it is hot, you know, and it's the most comfortable way they can cool their body while they go to work. This has always been part of our culture, and we have abandoned this culture. We have abandoned our tradition, and we want to be more holier than the Pope when it comes to, more Catholic than the Pope, as I say. We want to wear the best ties and the best suits, but we don't want to wear our own ashoke, which has been there for life, and they're even stronger. If the white man discovered ashoke, it would have become the international cloth or the global cloth of the world, the same way we wear jeans. Jeans is made the same way. But because they have figured out a way to just reduce us to nothing, and we too have internalized that oppression and inferiority of how we are presented, that's the reason we are having this argument. That's the reason we are saying, oh, why did you come with a juju man? You know, if I came to church, if I came to court with a pastor, it's not called a juju man. If I come to church, to court with a Muslim afar, it's not called a juju man. But the moment you see an African dressed in African attire, young man, oh, here comes Sowore with juju. And doctor, this is not personal. I'm addressing your question so that you don't say that.
No. Again, no. I have no problem with personal, as long as you are not ascribing an opinion that I clearly say was not mine. If it's mine, no. Now, the reason why, to me, again, I cannot presume to tell you how to run your campaign. I cannot presume to tell you how to get people to vote for you. I did in a place like Nigeria of today. All right, what I'm trying to tell you, because that, and I'm glad that you're having opportunity to explain, even though when I'm done, I'll also give you maybe another 1 minute or two to reclarify your position there, because just watching that video alone, if you had not had opportunity to reclarify it today, guess what? Well, it start making round. Oh, that Sowore is a juju man. I wouldn't vote for a guy that is going to be, I'm saying me now it's personal. Because yes, I agree, religion is supposed to be personal. We all say so. But it is what you are passionate about that you will pursue when you're in office. That's what Buhari did. Okay? Those who are saying that, including my own pastor, then I was saying, what do you mean you are supporting this guy? This guy is going to go there and push his own religion. I keep telling them, oh, this man told us that he's going to put that aside. It's in his manifesto. He's going to run a secular place. He's not going to let religion get involved. He got in there. That's what we got. Because religion is personal. Now, the person that is in that office He's not going to do anything that is against his own personal belief. I don't care what it tells you, but it's good to clarify. That's why we are bringing this up. And Nigerians can then make up their own mind, one way or the other, whether they agree with your position or not. I personally will find it very difficult saying I'm supporting somebody whose religious belief, whether personal or not, is traditional religion. I'm not saying traditional religion is bad or good. I'm just saying, like you said, it's personal. When people cast their vote, it's going to be personal. They're not going to cast votes on an objective level, even though we expect them to do that. As intelligent beings, and this one, if you want to attack me, you are free. I agree. I should be unbiased about people's religion when I vote. But again, it is not that simple. I have to be able to tell my God that I believe. Okay? There are Muslims who have their own belief. There are Christians who have their own belief. There are traditionalists who have their own belief. I'm not saying anything is wrong, but whatever I do, I have to be able to convince my own God that I did right by my belief. And that is where this could be a problem down the road. And you need to hone in on that. But I don't fault you for what you push. You have a right to decide. And then Nigerians also have the right to decide, is this person with this kind of opinion is one that want to lead us? I'll just leave it like that. I'll let you comment and we'll close that so that we are not getting into, I am not against your religion. I'm not against what you believe. It's just that when somebody is going to be my leader, okay? And that is where I think I was a bit concerned. Even if because it's what we see you push outside that we're going to believe you're going to do when you get there, whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. I hope you understand what I'm saying here, and then I just give you a few minutes to just wrap up that, because we have not even gotten to the real question. Today, we want to talk about education and your thoughts on unemployment. That's really the topic. This is supposed to be laying the foundation, but the foundation is is taking more of the substance. But I think we're having fun. The attendance keeps increasing. Most of your fans are here, and they are giving it to me very well. So I'll be putting up their comments here so that we can involve people in the audience. Let me quickly do that before you do some response.
I think you wanted me to comment on that before you.
Please go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Please go ahead. I will be pulling it up, relevant comments on that while you talk. Go ahead.
You make a very important observation, right? And that is the fact that people seem to vote according to their own personal convictions. And some of these convictions are based on their religious convictions at times. But my understanding about religion is not that somebody is Christian or Muslim or animist, as they like to call it here. It is that the person has character.
Just a second. Because I like to make this thing interactive. All right, like this one say, now, by the way, I just told you, somebody, I like this question because it's relevant. Does that mean the person must be Christian? Then no, sir, Mr. Olario, but I voted for Buhari. Did you not hear me say that?
Exactly.
I'm just saying that this might be an issue for some people. For me, I'm for the best guy.
So, Dr. Bawo,
yes,
Dr. Bawo, you introduced yourself as a pastor, right?
Yes, I was very transparent.
Yeah, that's very good. Do you know that Jesus Christ is not a Christian?
I agree. A Christian is somebody who follows Jesus. Okay,
yes,
so
if Jesus could come into this world according to the Christian Bible, without being a Christian, he didn't even carry any label. He just came as a simple man who wanted to change the world, and he was up against a very corrupt and heavily distorted system, and did what he had to do and left. And look at what happened to Jesus at the end, on his final day on earth, on the day he came before Pontius Pilate. What did the people do? They chose the thieves, Barabbas, over him. They were shouting, "We want to go and do party with Barabbas, so give us Barabbas, give us Barabbas." And they left the honest man to die by the cross. So if Nigeria or Nigerians haven't seen, after all these years of dealing with pastors and all these pretenders who use religion to fool them, like Donald Trump did in the US, well, I would say I'll be very sad, because these pastors are the same people who have stolen Nigerian dry. These Christians are the same people who have stolen Nigeria dry. And some of them speak in tongue, some of them build even churches in their neighborhoods, in their hometowns, just to cover up their atrocities. And we keep believing that somehow we can keep voting for people because they present themselves as religious people. And then this is where it left Nigeria. That's why Nigerians joke that there's no way Nigerians can go to hell twice because we already lived in hell. That is what the religious people did to us.
Wherever we go is evil. In fact, the hell
we can't go to hell. We can't go to hell twice.
Let's move on.
This is what the religious people did to Nigeria. Buhari is probably one of the most religious human beings you can meet. You saw him in Mecca the other day, Medina. They even opened a special place for him to go and touch the stone, and he wrapped himself in that white clothes. Does that make him look like Babalawo? No. But he's done worse things than all the bad people you can imagine, that can be imagined. This is a guy who killed 300 and something Shiites, officially, according to their own official numbers, overnight. This is the same Buhari that sent soldiers to go and shoot young people, right? At Lekki. It's the same Buhari who killed people in Obibu, shoots at IPOP guys at the slightest provocation. I'm just telling you, this is a country, Nigeria today, this broken system was driven here by religion.
All right,
probably the way to bail it out is to just go the non-religious way. Just vote for people with character who will not lie to you about religion, who will not lie about their convictions, who will not use God to rob you, and then have a country that works.
All right. Let me quickly ask you a question from the audience. I'm getting the feedback that my audio is very poor. Is it correct? I thought it was doing.
I can hear you loud and clear, but you and I are direct, so I don't know.
Okay.
Let me test, because I have my laptop in front of me streaming, but it's without voice.
Exactly. If you have the voice on, it will interfere with your stuff. So just check it and let me.
I'll get an echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Is my audio good? Give me 10 if it's good. If it's bad, give me a 0 so that I can switch microphones. I have 2 microphones here. Okay. Shitu said
people said your audio is good. I'm hearing that your audio is good.
All right, fantastic. All right, great, guys. We are having I'm sure you guys are seeing a different type of interview today. By the way, so that you are not confused in case you are watching this, my questions to Mr. Sowore, most times it's not personal, are questions that are generated, that is out there, and giving him an opportunity to express it. For those of you who are abusing me for asking the question, is because you think it's about me. It's not about me. I'm raising questions in the minds of Nigerians. Go watch the video on YouTube, what people are already saying about it. So it's only fair to give Mr. Sowore opportunity to express, to explain, because a 30-second video cannot explain as he has explained a 1-second video, because the next thing you know, pastors are going to show that thing inside their churches to say people should not vote for Sowore, and that will be wrong. That's why I'm giving him an opportunity to explain where he stands and where this is going to reflect on his presidency. And he has said he's not going to reflect. Nobody will get any preference, whether you are a traditionalist, you are a Christian or Muslim. He doesn't send you. What he wants you to, what he believes in is a government of character of people. You have heard it from his own mouth. So that when they start coming, at least you can say, well, did you watch this other explanation where the man gave? That's all I'm doing. But I understand that on this one, I'm the bad guy, because all the Sowore guys are here. So, but let's but it's very good for us to have this conversation. And Mr. Sowore, I appreciate you so far for being very candid and standing your ground and explaining it. You have not dodged one question. Politicians typically dodge. You actually lean into it and punch right back in the face, and that is very good. Makes my appreciation of you even bigger. So let's get to some of the questions on the table that I have. Now, you have said it several times. But I also want you to just set it. Maybe this time you give her, you summarize it more so that I know you can take an hour if they allow you to talk on this next question coming. What exactly is your take on Buhari's performance on education so far? I'm not even going to ask you about Buhari. You have oversaid that. Now we are going more specific.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what I say. People will say I'm biased against Buhari, right?
Well,
but yeah, no.
Okay.
But let me approach it this way: that you see, people cannot give what they don't have. You're right. You know, Buhari is a functionally literate person, which is as good as being illiterate in some cases, in some ways. So Buhari did not come to office with an education agenda. He didn't do that. And you mentioned it earlier that the problem with Buhari's election was that a lot of people were carried away and didn't ask the right questions. You can't hear anybody who can say that Buhari spoke for an hour in 2015 or 2019. Yes. He never did. He just spoke anecdotally about things and everybody just ran with it because people didn't really know that he would be as bad. Most people, I won't say some do, I did. And that's why I ran in 2019 against him. And I challenged them in those days that they don't have any policies in place. And I'm not only disappointed in the Buhari regime, but I'm even more disappointed in the VP, who is a lawyer, a cerebral one, a cerebral lawyer, who could not, whatever it takes, come out and stand out as someone who even went to school or who has ever practiced law before. Someone who supposedly helped them govern Lagos. Look at what, and that brings us back to the issue of Christianity and religion. Look at the VP, a pastor in a major church in Nigeria. He has assisted one of the worst regimes in this country, helping them to lie through their teeth, and this is the reason why we should just leave religion out of our lives. Let's accommodate every religion. If you're a competent pastor, you work in my cabinet. If you're a competent Babalawo or Juju man, you are welcome. If you're a competent Muslim, I'm with you. We just want, the important thing is, I want this country to work, right? I want to make Dubai out of Abuja. You understand? And Dubai was built by Muslims, right? And we can find French engineers that can give us trains that can take you from Lagos to Abuja in 3 hours. I want them too, even if they are pastors. But I'm not going to work with you simply because you carry your religion on your face, because I know what that has done to our country. So Buhari, in a nutshell, didn't come with an education agenda. And the truth is that somebody who is uneducated cannot give you education. It's not possible. The man is stark illiterate in a lot of, we cannot lie about it. He has no idea what is required to educate people. But he interestingly understands the value of education, because that's the reason why he never sent his children to Almajiri schools. He made sure that his children went to, very good United Kingdom schools. I mean, in the UK, they went to school in the UK, and a lot of the schools were not even Muslim schools. They were Christian schools, because he understands the value of education, but he doesn't have the capacity to give to Nigerians the education Nigeria deserves in this century that we're in. And that's the problem. I think I've lost you. I can't hear you anymore if you're still speaking. So,
all right.
Just so that you... Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
The wrong microphone. Okay.
So, Buhari never had an educational policy, right? In fact, the man he appointed as his education minister is not supposed to be a primary school headmaster. They don't know what they're doing there. Yes. Look at under Buhari, university lecturers went on strike for 9 months. 9 freaking months. In the US, that's like 3 semesters. Right there, we lost it. And they didn't do anything about it. Ask them about funding of education. Nothing is done in that direction. They don't want to fund education because they know that if they fund education and more people get educated, they won't be able to be ruling them the way they are ruling them now. But ask them how much money they are stealing or investing on Boko Haram and terrorism and other things that have dragged Nigeria down. Billions of dollars. Why is education not a priority? Because the man is uneducated. He doesn't understand what it takes to give people education, but he knows the value of education because you could tell that by what he did to his children. Even the last daughter graduated from a UK school, Hannah, the one that got one guy detained for 10 months in the DSS over her phone number switch. So I have not found an education policy on the side of because when you talk about education, Dr. Bawo, you talk about policies. You know, if you go to a county in the US, they have education policies that are dynamic. You understand? When COVID came, it didn't catch the US government and the counties and the states unawares. They had already been thinking ahead of virtual education. So when COVID came and shut down the physical classroom, they just switched over to virtual classrooms. And by the way, I had spoken about virtual classrooms when I was campaigning in 2018 without knowing that COVID would come. These things are on the internet.
All right.
That we will live through a period where our children in Nigeria can be provided education from wherever they are and can also get the kind of education that children abroad are getting, because these days you can actually connect a classroom in Nigeria to that of a good school in the UK if you want and get the same kind of education if they let you do it. That is where we're going. Yes.
Okay, so I agree with you. From what you have just said, you have clarified clearly that you believe that Buhari's government has failed, principally on educational, on the education system in the country, because the man cannot give you what he doesn't have. A man, so he's basically living a contradiction. He himself doesn't have the education, but he believes in the importance of it, so he sends his children abroad. And I'm thinking that's one of the major problems wrong with our country, where the leaders, and the question is coming out of that, where our leaders can afford to leave the majority of Nigerian youths or Nigerian people in the lurch because they have alternatives. Many of them have second citizenship so that they know that scatters they can run. Some of them have money stashed abroad that they're going to use, that they're using to train their children. So why should they care about the poor people in Nigeria? On that narrow topic, because I'm coming up with a bigger topic on later, still on this education thing, on this topic of where our leaders can have the effrontery and audacity to go be training their own children abroad while they abandon the systems in Nigeria, or where they travel abroad to solve their own problem. How will you make sure that doesn't happen in Nigeria again if you are to be president? Because until... Sorry, go ahead. If you understand what I'm going, I was going to explain a bit. Go ahead.
No, but please land. Ask your question clearly.
All right. So that, like I said, I'm going to. This is just one instance of addressing problem of education that I want us to focus on right now on this question. More are coming. In other words, what can we do to make sure our leaders do not abandon us here while they go and train their own children abroad? Go, sir.
Yes. Well, there has to be a policy towards that first and foremost. But I don't want to discuss policies that are symbolic. What do I mean by symbolism? You can have all your ministers swear by whatever, and say that they will not send their children abroad as long as they are serving under your government.
If that would be something that if they serve by that, they will not. It's true. Christianity.
We can bring Ahmad Yoha to
exactly.
And make them swear. Nobody will violate it. But they swear by the Bible, they will violate it. They swear by Quran, they will violate it. They don't believe it. They don't respect it. Anyways, yes.
That's a joke.
Anyways,
yes.
Yes. On the lighter side, but you see, that's symbolic, right? what we need to do is to invest in education. Education is such a big deal for me. Like, I cannot think of, leaving Nigeria in a situation that it is and not change things around in 4 years. That, I'll take everything, I'll turn everything around
So you might
instead
as well
of.
drill into this question so that, in other words, I was going to ask you, what specific policies will you pursue to implement, to improve Nigeria's educational system so that you can then go deep? Because I can see you're already going there anyway. So let's do that. So that I say,
Yeah. So
yes.
what I'll say to you is that,
Yeah.
look, first, we have to recognize that education can no longer be run on an analog system, right? We have
Okay.
to go digital with education. The fact is that at this point, there is no reason why every secondary school, every primary school in Nigeria doesn't have internet connection. And to the extent that subjects, and listen to me now, subjects that may not have teacher in a school can be taught by a teacher who's competent from another school, because we can make it virtually possible. Or even get Nigerians abroad. And this might look like haughty to you, who might want to teach. Some of them are retired, they're sitting there, they don't have anything to do, who can be teaching Nigerians from wherever they are in the world. So we have to have a platform of technological system that runs our education. Technology has to be the background of our education first and foremost. And then I'll go into enrollment of kids, right? I said it before, and now some of them are practicing it. I will make it a felony. I'll run to the National Assembly and make it a felony for a parent not to send their children to school in Nigeria. Because in the US, where you and I come from, if our kids don't show up twice in 2 days in school, it is not the principal that will call you, it's the police that will come to your door.
I agree, 100%.
Why hasn't your son or daughter been in school? Yes. Because they want to be sure that the person is not being abused or hasn't been killed and buried. They can't wait. If we don't get to that point where education is so compulsory and parents are shamed or even criminalized for not sending their children to school, we are not going to get it right. We're not going to get our enrollment level now, which is at about 50%, to at least 90%. The world average of enrollment, even in countries that are war-torn countries, Palestine, is like 89%. Nigeria is between 50 and 54% of enrollment of kids. That's why you have over 30 million kids running around selling pure water. And you expect a future of peace and progress. You are deceiving yourself. Children that are growing now that are selling pure water are the future kidnappers, armed robbers, Boko Harams, and bandits. There's no question of the moment you don't give them that thing that they can rely upon in the future, you have given them the alternative, which is crime and other things that comes with people who have no future ambition, as we used to say, NFA. Yes. So, but you have to have a policy that determines that this is what, we have to break this down to the number of desks that must be in a primary school and invest in it. Number of chairs that must be in a primary school and invest in it. Number of teachers, number of block rooms. It is a crime for a local government chairman to be able to build a house worth 50 million naira, and we cannot invest in any local government 50 million naira in education, on books, on examination, on technology. How much, Dr. Bawu, does it take to buy a desktop? In Lagos, you can find desktops for 60,000 naira. Desktops that can at least, carry a number of programs that can teach kids. And you can at least buy 6 of those per classroom, even if people take turns to use them. But in Nigeria, that money that's supposed to be used to equip a high school will be stolen by one person. They will go and build mansions in every city there is. One will be in Lagos, in Abuja, it will be in the village, whereas the schools are in bad condition. So we have to increase our enrollment. We have to fund education, right? And we have to, like I said, build our educational future on technology, such that when our schools are not doing the job it does now, which is actually emboldening people in ignorance. You understand? We must look at every classroom, and say to ourselves, from primary schools to our universities, we must embrace classroom size. That is, in every classroom, we cannot have more than 30 people sitting in a classroom. I went to the University of Lagos, where I graduated during the election in 2018, at the Faculty of Law. There were over 500 students sitting in the classroom, sitting on the floor. And one professor was just sweating it out. There was no fan, no air conditioning. People were sitting on the ground, and they were using the public address system, those ones that are mobile. They said it's even owned by the professor. And the man was struggling because the battery in that public address system was dying. No provisions were made for, in this modern day and time, speaker systems that are noise cancelling, so that when students are hearing what their professors are saying, everybody can hear what the professor is saying without having to crawl to the front. But what about the classroom size? How much are we spending on education? All the universities were requesting for about maybe 50 billion naira, and it took 9 months to finish the negotiation. But one minister, recently there was a story in which one person in customs, 2 people, one person, the custom man, and one person, the contractor, stole 51 billion naira for a revenue assurance contract. That is to boost the revenue of customs. 51 billion. That is probably the same amount of money ASU was asking for per year, rolled over 10 years. But nobody will give to them because the priority is not education. So we have a lot of things that are on paper. We have a basic education program institution that's been around since 1999, but it is one of the biggest conduit pipe for corruption. Everybody's just there trying to take their own out of it. They have eaten their own future. They have eaten the future of the kids. So I'm sure what specifically you are asking for, I'm addressing them, but probably not in the way and manner that I would admit that is.
Sorry, I think his phone cut off. I hope you guys can hear me. I was just enjoying, because it's getting to the meat of it, and I like several of the stuff Mr. Sowore has been sharing with us, but he's going to be back in a minute. If I may just summarize let me bring him back up. All right, he's back. Sorry, you cut out briefly there.
But one thing that I must not fail to mention, because I would even disappoint myself, right, if I don't do this, is that we must, as a matter of urgency, invest in free and qualitative education. And that's where I have problems sometimes when I was campaigning with people who are in the middle. They felt that education must not be free. You must pay through your nose, but if you are paying through your nose to go to school, for people who cannot afford it, in a country where most people, 80% of the population live under less than $1 per day, you are just inviting crisis, because what that means is that a lot of your citizens will not be able to afford education. And we are at the point where we must invest in education in such a way that people who can't afford education now should be able to go to school. I don't have a problem with the loan system, you understand? But my own loan system will be different. It will be for higher institutions only, not secondary and primary school, in which if you take a loan from the federal government, I'll put aside money that will form the basis for this loan, you will be required to work within the public sector for 4 years. If you don't want to work within the public sector for 4 years, you pay us back our loan. And what would my loan be for higher institution students? Is for each student to get an average of 100,000 per semester as upkeep fee. But it's going to be, half of it will be a loan, half of it will be a grant, like the Pell Grant in the US. And as you progress in school, you get more. Maybe by the time you are in your fourth year, it will be 200,000. But if you don't work for us, if you don't work for the state, because we need a lot of hands on deck, because we'll still talk about public works in our subsequent conversation, you have to pay back that money. If you decide to go to the private sector or you go and form your own business, you just have a discussion with us on how to pay back the money. But we'll make money available for everybody who is interested in going to school. But for primary and secondary school students, we will ensure that you get free and qualitative education. It's an investment that must be made so that this country will be pulled out of doldrums by a new set of educated persons coming out to create a country of their own dreams and to have that education that they badly desire, from which they could have been prevented had they not had access to public funding. And some have argued that public schools are bad ideas, they can never be properly maintained and all that. But the question I ask them is that, why is it that when we have problems with, you have problems with investing in public schools, but you don't have problems in investing in things that are unproductive in Nigeria? Those things even take more money than you can imagine. Like we invest in subsidizing NNPC, an organization that's supposed to be making profit for us. We invest in subsidizing Aso Rock. I even hear that you pay rent. There's a line item in the budget of Aso Rock that's rent. You pay rent. And how many people live in Aso Rock? Like a family of like 5, 6, 7, 8. Why can't the president live in a 5-bedroom apartment somewhere in Abuja? And we can convert Aso Rock to a children's hospital or a private hospital, a public hospital, so that people can get. Yes, I have 2 kids and a wife. Why should I live in a 500-acre, place in Abuja with a zoo?
Let's redirect back to the question at hand, because I let you talk at length because education is huge, and I know that you can't even possibly say everything you have to say at one time. But everything good has to come to an end. We've been going at this now. Believe it or not, we have spent 2 hours 27 minutes. People's data might expire, so we will try to shut this down 30 minutes from now and then continue tomorrow. People watching this, this is Sowore on the hot seat, and we can all agree that he's sitting on it very well. He's explaining some of his policies as well as his opinions on what is going on in the country. It is important for us to do this. I've said it many times. We all go on rumor without hearing from the horse's mouth, or we see one clip of video and then we say this is what somebody stands for. The whole idea of this hot seat series is to give everybody concerned an opportunity to at least explain. We don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with him, but at least he's on record. And that is why I am putting the questions itself, whatever question is answering on the screen, so that when we cut out the video, the question will go with the responses that we are receiving. And I have to say, Mr. Sowore, you've done a great job responding to this. It's a very deep question, and I'm going to summarize quickly, then I'm going to ask some very pointed questions, if that is okay with you, sir. What they have said that I really like, that I'm sure a lot of Nigerians out there may like or not like, and now I'm mixing my own opinion in here. He has said, I will need to recognize that we need to go digital. He has said internet connection should be for all schools. And some of this stuff, yeah, I know I'm an interviewer, my opinion shouldn't come in here. But really, it's absurd if we can't prioritize that. It's schools, we're not even talking about individuals. So I'm with him 100% on that. Enrollment of kids in school, he is saying it should be a felony. The reason why kids are not going to school is that there is no consequence for the parents. And he's saying it from the point of view of somebody who has seen something good in America and live here too, which is part of the shame. Now I'm talking personally now, which is part of the shame I feel for many of the leaders we have now who have lived abroad. They know what works there, but they come in, for some reason they don't do it. Sowore, we have opportunity to answer that question at some point, but not right now. I'm still focusing on the education. I'm summarizing what is said, and if I misrepresent you, please cut in. You have my permission to cut in and re-clarify. He's talking about it should be a felony for you not to enroll your kids in school. He also explained that we need to have a systematic structure Right now, it looks like the whole system is broken. And then it talks about funding education as a priority, even if we have to introduce a kind of loan system for those who cannot afford, particularly at the tertiary levels where they can get school loan. It's like that all over. My own daughter is going to medical school here. Medical school is crazy money you have to spend. She doesn't have to jump through the hoops for us to get loan for her to pursue a dream after finishing the first degree. And then he talks about classroom size, that if he's given power, he will make sure the classroom size is comes back to normal, where people can really learn, not the situation we have right now where you go to a university and are like where 500 1,000 people in a classroom. They cannot learn anything in that scenario, according to Mr. Sowore, and I happen to agree with him. Then he said we should invest in free and qualitative education. Doing that, of course, is the details of doing that is going to be the challenge, but I'm not going to pick him on that today. I'm writing this stuff down. When I have time in some of these subsequent things coming, I'm going to ask him how exactly he's going to find the money. But the question I want to ask right now is, one of the major problems that we have in Nigeria, in my own opinion, from what I can see, is that these northern people, okay, they have these almajiris who are deliberately undereducated, in my own opinion. Again, us in the South, yes, we have our challenges with going to school, but at least it's not like they are not even giving us opportunity to attend. Our major problem is what happens after we finish school, which it goes into unemployment, which obviously we won't be able to go into today. For me, that is very huge. That's what I'm going to take up tomorrow. We are still talking education today. But this Almajiri situation that has now dovetailed into where they've now become Fulani herdsmen coming down to come and attack us here. Fulani herdsmen is not for today either, because that is a very, very tough talk. So the question I want to ask you, sir, Mr. Sowore, how will you solve this Almajiri situation? They have mortgaged the future of this youth from the beginning. How will you try to solve it as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Go, sir.
Very easy. It's a question of integration of the Almajiri school system with a central education system that's of high quality, of high standard. And I came to the conclusion that Almajiri did not exist because of religion in the northern part of Nigeria. When I did the election travels in 2018 and 2019, particularly to Sokoto, Zamfara, right, to Yobe. We didn't get to, Kebbi. We didn't get to Yobe, Kebbi. We went around and all these old women or young women, Hausa women, were telling us, when we would ask them, what do you want? They said, we want Makaranta, which is real school, not Almajiri school. The reason you have Almajiri school in the north, Almajiri school is part of the system of oppression by the northern elites to deprive their people of the kind of education that will liberate them. You understand? When was it that you heard about an Almajiri school in Saudi Arabia?
Sorry to interrupt you. I have a northern guy here who posed a question. Okay, maybe I'm the one that is confused. Odua, because I want to bring some questions from the public now, relevant. He's asking.
The other question you should ask yourself is that.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm saying Mr. Odua is asking, who told me that Almajiris are not educated? Maybe I'm assuming. How do you define education, sir? Maybe that question I'm throwing to you now. Go ahead. I think your overall answer.
I think Almajiri education system is a generic name for an abandoned system. Kids that are abandoned in the north, right? But it's supposed to be it's not supposed to be a school where people are taught religion. The Islamic religion. But the question we should ask yourself is, if it's such a great school, why didn't Buhari send his children to Almajiri schools, even when he was not the head of state? If it's such a great educational system, why did El Rufai send his children to go to school in the UK and the US. All of his children are either, master's degree holders, or at minimum, they have BScs. So what we need to do is to integrate the existing Almajiri schools with the secular educational system that we have. When I was in school, we can do Christian religious knowledge or Bible religious knowledge and also do chemistry and do physics. You understand? It won't kill anybody if you're an Almajiri, if you graduate from Almajiri and you become a pilot, right? Not a beggar. So when people are saying Almajiri schools, or the kind of Almajiri schools they have in the north, it's not the ones that empower those young people. It's not the truth. Children that go to Almajiri schools are children that are abandoned by their parents in the hands of these, Islamic teachers, because they can't take care of them. And most of them, they never go back to them. It is through them that Boko Haram recruits massively today. Kidnappers, bandits. That's where they get the bulk of their workforce from. Don't let us lie about it. The Almajiri school system is not good for the development of young people, but that is not to condemn their right to have religious education as young as they want. What we just need is an integration system where you can have teachers who teach these kids Almajiri, also teach them integrated science and other sciences and philosophy and social sciences as well. That's what we're asking for, is integration. It's not that's what I will pursue religiously. And I know that you will come against these northern elites who always use religion to deceive and subjugate people. But it is not about just coming against them. You have to call them out and provide an alternative for these kids. And I guarantee you that the moment the kids find better schools to go to, they will prefer the better schools than to be beaten from morning till night and be given bowls to beg on the streets in Kano and other places. That is not the kind of future that we should envisage for our children, because these children are so innocent that they cannot take these decisions for themselves. And we cannot allow wicked adults to be taking such decisions for them that will not guarantee them the future that they deserve or that is desirable.
100%. All right. Thank you so much. Again, let me reset so that people who are just joining us can understand where we are with this. I'm having Mr. Sowore, one of the hardcore agitators in the country, depending on which part of him you are looking at and who you are. You can either see a liberator for Nigeria, or you can see a problem that is about to cause confusion in Nigeria. Either way, I think at this point, everybody will agree you cannot ignore Mr. Omoyele Sowore when it comes to Nigerian politics. And that's why I'm having him here on this Naija Lives Matter series, because we plan to talk to every one of our emerging leaders. We want to hear from them on what they will do, because it's easy to criticize. What will you do when you get in there? So that we get them on record, and then we see how they are thinking. So that way we can be able to say, oh, is this man likely to take me to the promised land, or just a blowhard? And I have to say, Mr. Sowore has been detailed when given opportunity to be detailed, even though that is not often easy for politicians to do as to specifics. And I want to appreciate that. No, I'm going to see on this education. Again, we are going to be ending this in another 20 minutes. We have been going on for like 2 hours. So we want to make sure it's a 3-hour interview, particularly out of deference to those of you who are using your data to join us and conserve your data. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, to take on the issue of unemployment and how Mr. Sowore will solve it, along with this, the remaining part of my questions on education. But I have one that is, from what you have said, you mentioned something about investing in free and qualitative education. And I think that anybody who has any sense will agree with that. But the problem is, and I'll take you back a little bit into history before I hit my main question for you here. Many people, and again, which I'm saying what is out there, not necessarily my opinion now. Many people, when they're trying to identify the problem of education in Nigeria, they trace it all the way back to Jakonde. Okay, in terms of quality, they are saying when Jakonde came and he wanted to jam down a free education in the for everybody, which is a laudable idea because education should not be the preserve of the elite. He ended up creating, quote and unquote, a lot of substandard schools, and because they didn't invest in the training of teachers and all the other stuff that goes into quality education, the standard of education began to fall. Where some of those schools, all of us were here then, I'm sure you are very much conscious of those schools where some of them, when it rains, they can't use the class. The teachers became very, very unreliable. And then because Jakonde also annexed all the, at least for secondary schools, all the missionary schools and the privately funded schools like Adeola Adutola College, St. Finbas, all those, he annexed them and put them under the government. So those schools that were traditionally very high quality, all of a sudden, the quality began to drop extensively. So my question to you, sir, is that first, as a what I call a policy statement, before we dig into the details of it, if you are president, are you going to privatize education system, or you are going to go the Jakonde route and government takes it all over so that government can run it, or you're going to do a hybrid? What exactly will you do? And I preface that again to give you a better way to grasp it, is that it is easy to say we want free education for everybody. We know finances is a problem. We know the resources. We know the teacher issue is a problem. So holistically, starting from that first premise, are you going to privatize or are you going to leave it in the hands of private? How do you plan to deal with this major issue? Thank you, sir. Go.
Well, it's going to be a mix. When I say mixes, I'm not going to privatize schools that are owned by private individuals. You will have a choice to go to a private school if you can afford it. What I want to make affordable are those public schools that are in existence and creating more of those schools. See, I wasn't a big fan of Jakonde, but one thing you can't take away from Jakonde is that had he not come to Lagos, and had I just not come to Ondo State, I would be a palm wine tapper today. Do you know why?
Good one.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Yes,
in my
sir.
hometown, as of 1980, when I got admission to secondary school, only 6 kids goes from my hometown. So only 6 kids are admitted to secondary school. They have to go to another town, which is about 9 hours away because there were no roads. We go by canoe and do exams, and then they'll be taken in after the entrance exams. And those 6 kids became 300 in 1980 when Ajashin, through Awolowo's free education, brought a secondary school to my place. And today, from that school between 1980 and 1985, when it was closed down by the military, Babangida and his people, it started with Buhari in 1983-84. They started closing down the schools. Between that period and my hometown was able to produce people that have now become PhD holders. That secondary school in my place is the one that produced me, that I'm sitting in front of you today. But had I not been given that opportunity to go to a school at all, any form of school at all, what happened in my area is that you then go and start doing palm wine and making ogogoro. I am not saying that people who are making ogogoro are inferior. Of course, if I was a palm wine tapper, I would be the best palm wine tapper there is in the world, I think. But I'm just saying that opportunity that came in huge quantity could have been improved over time. Because when this idea starts, even as you know in the US, they may not be the best. But when they go through the crucibles, when other people refine them, you would have had more of the secondary school. But if you go back, the secondary school I went to is still there. But I'll tell you, it is the desk that I sat on in 1980 that is still there. Even though NDDC had intervened there, superb, all of the PEBs had intervened, but it's just corrupt interventions. Nobody has invested, really, they've been stealing the money that's meant for educational development. If you go to TED Fund, which is the funding for higher institutions in Nigeria, I think is the home for corruption. You know, they just issue contracts to themselves. They embezzle it, and not maybe they'll build one substandard building in the university somewhere. Nothing. They are not investing in education. They are stealing money meant for education. So I don't have a problem with the Jakonde that even started something. I have a problem with the landlords and owners of Lagos these days who are making more money but are not investing in education the way they should. Lekki Toll Gate alone. I mean, there's one company called Alphabet owned by Tinubu. They were found to have shared 150 billion naira to Tinubu and the current governor of Osun State. 150 billion naira. Go and ask, what's the budget?
Hold on a second. They
Yes.
gave them 150 billion. Who gave them 150 billion?
They have an arrangement to collect tax in Lagos from the
Okay.
Lagos State on behalf of the Lagos State government, and their own share of the tax is 150 billion. For
Get
just
out
one
of here.
single.
Get out of here. 150 billion.
Yes. Go and read about Akpara. There's a man called Akpara. He's hiding in Dubai now. He did a petition. He wrote. He explained everything. You can just Google his name, Akpara and Alphabet.
Oh my
You know,
God.
but go and ask yourself, what is Lagos budget for education? It's probably, you know, because the last budget, the entire budget for 2020 was like maybe 1 point something trillion. 1.168 trillion is their budget for 2020. I have it right in front of me here. And if you go further, their proposal for education is probably around 150 billion. That is the amount of money that went to one individual. You have not spoken about the Lekki toll gate. You have not spoken about other revenues that these guys are taking in. But they're not investing in education because they're not interested in education. They're taking care of themselves. That's why I was talking about character and, you know, what you mentioned about consequences for actions like this. Lagos should have some of the best public schools. They should have demolished what Jakonde built, the poultries that Jakonde built, and turned them into high-rise buildings that can, you know, in such a place that in one Jakonde school, there can be 4 secondary schools combined together, you know, stacked upon each other with air conditioning, with toilets, you know, with auditorium for sports, with open sporting area. You understand? That should be the Lagos of 2021. But when I was campaigning in 2018 and 2020, we went to one of the high schools next to the University of Lagos at Iwaya. My brother, the thing is leaking directly. And most of the schools in Lagos are almost like that. But you will never see it in the press because they make sure that the press don't even report it. Then there will be what I call the deodorization of parts of Lagos, right?
Let's stay on that one second. We have 15 more minutes to go. What I want us to use that for, because I'm so happy that you are really dropping specifics, because that has been the issue of some people with you, even though, like you said, it's all on your website. Do you have, can you maybe text me the website where they can get more about your, what you stand about, your manifesto, your whatever, so that I can type it on screen?
Yeah, we still have a website. In fact, I think I'm one of the presidential candidates for 2019 that still has an existing website.
Yes, go ahead.
It's aacparty.org. We still have the aacparty.org. We still have the website. aacparty.org. And we explain all. In fact, what then became the situation, Dr. Okweman, was that the ideas we put up in our manifesto, this government started stealing the ideas. And we're happy that they have something to steal other than money. But the problem is that they can't even implement the ideas.
Did I get that right? Did I get it right?
A lot of the ideas, yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, that's it. And one of the things we did during that period was also to explain how we would fund all these programs.
Okay.
We broke it down, including looking at the tax to GDP ratio in Nigeria. We have the lowest in the world. Our tax to GDP ratio is 6%. Ghana is 15%. So we are under collecting taxes. The reason why they are under collecting taxes, by the way, is that there's free oil money, number one. Secondly, if people pay taxes, they will ask questions. So Nigerian leaders don't want to answer questions about how they spend money. So they don't collect taxes.
They just share the oil money. Okay.
Yes, they prefer to share the free money, free booty, then because they know if they collect taxes, Nigerian will ask, what did you do with my taxes? So as a result, we have the lowest GDP to tax ratio almost in the world. Ghana has 15. The percentage of GDP to tax ratio for the rest of the world is about 17% or thereabout. We are 6%. They're not collecting taxes. They're not interested in collecting taxes. Even when the taxes they are collecting, they're embezzling it. From oil companies alone, Nigeria is being owed over $90 billion on paid taxes from oil companies alone. This is legit. Nobody's collecting them. Rather, they prefer collecting bribes. Let me tell you, MTN alone, this the company the phone company, at one time took out of Nigeria $13 billion capital flights. You dare not try that in the US. You and I know that to get out of the US, coming to Nigeria when we want to come home, you cannot take more than $9,000. If you take more than $9,000, they catch you with it. You've lost that money. You are not taking it with you until you come back. Come and explain. Because $10,000 is how much you can take out at a time. So, but we don't have all these policies because people are more interested in their personal, comfort and interests. And greed has become the official policy of people in government.
All right.
Very personalized greed. So I just went in that direction to explain to you that not only are we discussing these matters around these policies of education, but we have figured out how to fund our educational policies. We have figured out how to fund our infrastructural policy. We have figured out how to fund policing, the power sector, how we want to introduce the energy mix. And I know we are not getting there yet. We'll discuss that in subsequent events.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted to make us, because we have, in fact, a fight has broken out in the threads between your fans and those who are against you, and I'm loving it. So what I want us to do to spend the last 15 minutes on is to take questions from the audience, because there's a reason why I brought you into this closed room so that people don't interrupt you. I want your views on the record, and I'm glad that you stood up to the challenge and were able to clearly and freely and without any ambiguity put your views across, so that those who have not been able to go to your site, like you told me the other day, those who have been too lazy to go to your site, at least they can hear you. And part of my own job in enthroning a good government, everybody's doing their own part. Some are forming association, some are doing this, is for me to let the views of all the what I call the new generation leaders. I don't want to have anything to do with any of the old ones. I've made myself clear. But who do we want to replace them with? It's important for us to know how they are thinking, because they can write anything they want. But when you are hearing a man say it, you can gauge his demeanor, you can gauge his articulate way of explaining himself, to be able to know whether there's somebody you can trust and whether there's somebody who can do what he says he can do. That's why we are doing this. And I'm not being partial to Sowore. Is the one I feel that if I'm going to do this series, is one of the most visible out there. He's got a very powerful fan base, and it's fair enough, and he's willing. I've tried to get Fela Durotoye. He has not even responded to my call. Those who know him, please let him know I'm looking for. I know him personally. I've met with him. Maybe I have the wrong number, is why he's not responding. I want to talk to him too. I want Nigerians to hear from him. I want to talk to our man, I keep forgetting his name, the Christian brother who is running, that everybody also says very cerebral. If you have a candidate or you have an ambition to run for something and you want to hear your views, you can call me and we will schedule a sit interview. The only thing is not going to be a softball. We're going to ask you the tough questions. We are not here to make you smile. We are here to make you explain yourself clearly. So if it looks in the beginning that maybe I was antagonistic to Mr. Sowore, no, I'm not. The tough questions must be answered, and he has answered them. All right. So now let's take some questions from those of you. If you post your question, I am not interested in people who just want to be stupid. This is a serious talk. All right. It's a serious conversation Nigerians are having. I will post your question. And if your question, so I'm going to go in here and pick at random questions that I think make sense and that will present a challenge. Mr. Abe, the governor, you need to stop doing this. I'm seeing you out there. Obviously, you are somebody in government. I know you. You're my friend. I will call you out. If you have a legitimate question for Mr. Sowore, please ask it. This is not, don't engage his fans in a debate. All right, bring it out. Now you have a question. I'll put your question out first because the first one I'm saying is saying, Mr. Sowore, can you agree to sign a legal binding agreement of what you will do in your first 100 days in office? And if not done, agree to resign. All right? It's a legitimate question because we have had, even though the motive behind it may not be, because I don't deal with motives. Say what you have to say in public, and then we'll put it up there. And I think this is a legitimate question because we have had many leaders who promised. All right? And then we go there. Buhari is number one. I'm still very bitter about all of that. Where they promise and they get in there, they don't do. In your case, when you present your manifesto and you are voted in based on that, it's saying your first 100 days in office, all of you always list that. If you don't do it, do you want to sign an agreement to resign? Over to you, sir. I want to keep your answers short so that we can get as many questions for you as possible. All right, sir. Did you get it?
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead.
If I cannot, in 100 days, in my first 100 days in office, if I cannot select a cabinet in my first 100 days in office, I'll resign. If I cannot select a cabinet.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes.
That's cold.
That's on the lighter side.
I know that's cold. That's cold,
yeah,
right?
So, but 100 days in office, I have spoken about this before. Because our manifesto was spread out in what we call Spicer heats, of which security was number one, the power sector, power was number two, infrastructure, anti-corruption, the economy, and restructuring of Nigeria, health, education, agriculture, tourism, and technology. Those are the things that we wanted to do, and we will do a little bit of everything within the first 100 days. Right? And we've studied it out. If I have a chance at another conversation, we'll discuss that. But signing a binding legal agreement, I'll do. I will swear by my Babalawo.
There you go. Somebody has said it. Even though, again, I was saying it on a lighter note, but in a way, I'm also saying seriously. These people, even the ones that call themselves Christian, they can swear by Bible, but they will violate it. But if you put Shango in front of them, they will not. They will
be shaking. Yeah,
because and I don't know.
Maybe we should consider that.
Yeah,
I can make our politicians sit up and stop doing criminal things.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for answering that.
My worry is that they too will go and get fake Babalawo. They're going to get fake Shango. I know them. They will just go and arrange some fake Shango from somewhere. That would be a problem.
All right. I'm trying to pick questions that are related to what we discussed today, but I guess I can just pick any. Okay. All right. Here is I'm trying to get some of your fans, or at least those, because you have more people here saying they are for you than those who are against. I want to get some questions from them so that, Sowore, what is your opinion about the insecurity in Nigeria and self-defense adopted by different tribes? I think that's a good question. He's talking about the Amotekun. He's talking about the I don't know whether it's Ohaneze. I know they also have their own thing. So what is your? So of course, I think it's indirectly talking about the Sunday Igboho. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I always said it. That when I become president of Nigeria, even university campuses will have a right to have their own police. University campuses, local governments will have a right to have their own police. The only thing I will ensure as president is standardized training. You understand? That everybody that's having their police will come to a federally funded or jointly owned, police academy, where the standard for policing is the same, whether you are on a campus or you're in a local government, because one of my priorities will be to get rid of all these militias. Militias are not going to take Nigeria. When you create militias, you have created another security problem without knowing it or without accepting it. These are fire brigade approaches to security. Nigeria is under police. There's no question about it. So we should allow states to create their own police departments, allow local governments to have police departments, even allow towns to have police departments, allow campuses to have police department, but with federal oversight. What is federal oversight? If a police department in Imo is being used to witch hunt a political opponent of the governor, the federal police should be able to take over that department and investigate them until such a time that they start behaving right. We take over the police department that is acting outside of extrajudicially, or outside of the letters of the Constitution. That's what I will encourage. And
all right.
most importantly is to ensure that policemen are doing internal police work, and army is protecting the territorial integrity of Nigeria. But right now, police is no longer doing police work. Police is doing private security job. Most of the policemen are carrying bags for rich men and their wives. Police in Nigeria, in this Abuja, you can get police to be protecting you if you have 200,000 naira. You just go to a police DPO, say, look, I need 6 policemen. They'll come with AK-47 and be protecting. That's what police is doing in Nigeria. It's become, a cheap for hire organization that can be used to do anything. That's not, when I become president, every policeman in the country that is protecting VIPs will be recalled with immediate effect. Governors have 200 policemen each. No governor should have more than 6 policemen maximum. That will make some of them to be behaving properly. Because if they don't have that police intimidating presence around them, they will do their work, because the people will ask them questions. But when you have 200 policemen guarding a governor of a state, where then do you get the policemen to fight in Zamfara or fight bandits and fight criminality? That's the problem. And then the army would be for the protection of the territory of Nigeria. But in Nigeria today, army is doing traffic work, so that they can collect money and extort money from people. Army is doing checkpoints and asking for paper. They're asking for particulars. Army will be asking for particulars on Nigerian roads. This country is absurd.
All right. Thank you so much for responding to that. The next question I want you to respond to that somebody posted. This is one of the guys that have been very active on the thread. Now we are actually using the thread of the Naija Lives Matter. I know we are live in about 8 other places, but even on just this thread alone, there is literally 400-500 people on this just one thread. So I can only take so much before we have to shut it down. I don't want it to extend 3 hours. I think we're at the 2-hour, 40-minute mark or so. Actually, 2.5 hours. We started at 30 minutes past the hour.
You said this would be for 2 hours.
I know, but we're
you also have to understand that I have other meetings.
I'm going to close it. That's what I'm trying to do. It's 2.5 hours. And that's why I'm trying to bring it to a close.
Okay.
All right. So definitely
we'll come back tomorrow, but I had scheduled for other events.
Yes, I know, and I apologize. I did tell you 2 hours.
No problem at all.
Right, so I'll just take 2 or 3 more questions so that we can close it before we're at the 3-hour mark. Now, Odua wants to know that we have a lot of Nigerians in diaspora. How can you get our vote to count, assuming you have the power to make this change? Go, sir.
Well, I have said it. I am not going to lie to any one of you. With the current electoral system, there's no way votes will count. But let me...
Oh, it froze, but it's going to be back. I think there is a... I don't know if they can hear him or if it's only me. Hold on. I'm just, before I step in there, Mr. Sowore is explaining. All right. I think I'm live. He's the one that is cut off. Can you guys hear Mr. Sowore right now? Because I think it's frozen on my screen. Can you, if you can't hear him, just tell me a no. All right. Unfortunately, I can't hear. Okay, you can't hear him. Okay. Well, it was just fielding this question that is on screen, and of course, I can't answer for him, unfortunately. We are even past the hour that I promised him we are going to end this. So we are probably just going to bring this to an end. I think he got knocked out of the thing, maybe ran out of battery or something. You know, Nigerian issues is plenty. His internet might have gone off. But I want to appreciate everybody that was in here today. I'm going to try to write out some of your questions so that we can, with your name on it, so that when we have opportunity, we can get him to ask it. All right. I want to hear from everyone who is aspiring to lead us. Many of those so-called leaders who want to lead us, like Mogalu, has gone very silent after the election. That is what some people are saying. But so those who know him, I would love to interview him. I would like to chat with him. My phone number is very public on my page. It's you can let him know that Dr. Kwebanwo is looking for him. I'll be more than happy to try to see how we can get him. So I'm just going to put some of your posts on here, then I'm going to close it for the day. Mr. Sowore has done a great job coming in. Shola Frederick said Tinubu will bring liberation come 2023. I doubt that. Now I'm asking for myself, okay, as I'm running out this show. If he's going to bring liberation, he will have brought it. He's had 6-7 years and has been in government since forever. So I am not agreeing with that, but that's my own opinion. Sowore is not here to answer to that, okay? Then somebody says, Ogbeme Moses Wenanyon says, Sowore will finish you people. Well, that is your opinion. The man is being very clear what he stands for. And I'm very impressed with him tonight that he's able to just say it the way it is. Lawal Kende says, Omoyele Sowore, we the good conscience people of Nigeria are very proud of you. Go, man. These are people that are standing behind him 100%. I'm looking for more posts to put on here. There's a lot of nonsense posts here that are not relevant. Shola Frederick say you don't rule Nigeria by mere talk, but you have to talk first and have an idea of what you want to do. So you have been heckling him. So we have several of your posts here, but that's okay. Sowore can talk for Africa. That is your opinion, and everybody's opinion counts. That's what you think, and I respect that. Babajide Muniz, your talk is too long, but I'll try to read as much of it. Shenkola Ole, a person sound in democratic procedure knows that impeachment can be initiated through processes such as lobbying. Okay, he's responding to somebody else. I'm not here to moderate your fight with people on the thread. I just want to hear what people are saying to the Sowore interview. A Life of Elvis Davis says, I understand some people will not be truly free. Interesting comment. All right. Abe Governor says presidency is not trial and error. Give us a good manifesto, and if acceptable, we will rally our votes around you. He has given you his manifesto and also given you the page, the website to go. Why don't you go there instead of heckling him? That's his website, sir. He said go to aacparty.org. And his manifestos are there. We should not just be heckling without doing our homework. You may disagree with Mr. Sowore, but that to me is not a fair comment on your part on him. So let's Boson Akitola says Sowore for one Nigeria or divide Nigeria. The man has been clear. If you missed the beginning part of this video, go and watch it again. We are going to cut it out and put it out there. Then you can make up your own mind what he's saying. He has articulated. Odua, if Sowore don't become president in 2023, I will make him my enemy. I got our support. Okay, we have had you. All right. Ramsey, why would we say Tinubu is a selfish human being? He went to Buhari to bring him because he wanted to be president at all costs. I don't know how this is relevant to what Sowore has said today. So let me look for somebody who has to who refer to him directly in their comments. And Redeemer liveth dearly. Mr. Sowore, if you do get elected, what will you do concerning our relationship with other countries? Well, he's not here to answer those questions, so I'm going to bring this to an end. I want to appreciate Mr. Omoyele Sowore for stepping up to the plate and sitting on the hot seat like a man. He took the questions, he gave you his opinion on vanity. Let Nigerians make up their mind from watching him. I don't want to